We're on the runway. Okay? Hey, we are on the runway. Know that, my friends. I mean, guys, make absolutely no mistake about that. When you're looking about how things are looking now for how, again, the National Football League is right here, and you know without a doubt that you're looking at a position right now where, hey, man, we're right around the corner. We're absolutely right around the corner. We appreciate everybody coming aboard with us here each and every single day. Thank you so much again, folks, for coming aboard. Without a doubt, I'm so looking forward to the upcoming NFL season. Make no mistake about it. We are going to be one of the most interesting teams, I would say, the Philadelphia Eagles, when it comes to this upcoming season. Let's see if hopefully we can get our show up on Twitter here, because yesterday we had over 1,000 folks on Twitter yesterday. So hopefully we can get that up and running over on Twitter there. There we go. I think we just had it there. No, that was yesterday's show. So see if we can get that up on Twitter here, because we had over 1,000 people yesterday. So Joe, just let me know when that thing is popped up there on Twitter. I believe we're going now. We are live now, right now on Twitter. So fantastic. We are, without a doubt, appreciate that very much. You guys jumping aboard. Yesterday, we had like over 1,200 people came aboard with us on all of our platforms. And we invite you to jump aboard all of our platforms when it comes to Facebook, Twitter, obviously our YouTube channel. Big Seals, did you take notes this morning on Johnny Mack? No, I didn't know what he said. What did he say, Perez? You can hook me up. Hey, Mr. Perez, I've been doing this for 40 years. Okay? I don't need to take notes from anybody. Okay? New York Giants Hard Knocks episode 2 was crazy. Mr. Perez, I saw that. By the way, so let me get this right. Joe Schoenen, the general manager of the New York Giants, the way he handled himself and the way he was talking about making a trade for a quarterback, did you think that was in the best interest of the New York Giants to have that publicly out there, that you were in serious conversation about making a move to have a quarterback join the team in the first round? Have you given up already on Daniel Jones? You just gave the guy $42 million annually a year. He has to be the biggest cluster bomb in the National Football League as a GM right now. No wonder Barkley didn't go and want to go back there. Why would Saquon Barkley want to play for that? Joe Schoen is on tape trying to cut a deal with New England to draft the quarterback. You've obviously, before the season even started, you've obviously given up on the guy. And then you turn around and you know that this is being taped so that Daniel Jones sees this. What's the end game for that? If you're an organization and you're going to make internal moves, quarterback, coach, host in my business, what have you, do you think you publicly go out, get on tape and go, hey, how'd you like to come work for me 2 to 6 Eastern on JAKIB Sports? And then you put that out there and I see it and I'm like, what's going on here? That's what the New York Giants did. That is the definition of dysfunctional, not knowing what you're doing as a GM. I'll tell you something about Howie Roseman. He was able to be tutored by Joe Banner. And he learned a lot of what he knows because of Andy Reid. Let's be candid here, man. Bottom line here, every single thing that the Eagles operate under right now are things that the Andy Reid regime and the Andy Reid era put in place. And everybody that's a benefactor today is a benefactor of what those guys did back in the day in setting the culture. Vermeil has been your best coach since 1970. Then from 2000 up or 99, Andy Reid. Every single one of your coaches have had a winning record since Jeffrey Lurie's owned the team. A testament to them. It's truly a testament. But everybody today, including Howie Roseman, has been a benefactor of the culture and how they do business. I'm not a fan of every single thing you do. And you know that. And you know that. However, the New York Giants, you want to know why the New York Giants are a train wreck right now? Watch their GM operate. You know, you kind of got a little bit of a sense when they allowed Barkley just to walk out the building. They didn't pick the 50-year option up on Jones. You signed that Waller guy. Then you turn around and you're thinking to yourself, then he starts blaming the fact that, hey, Patrick Mahomes couldn't play behind that old line. He takes shots at Dave Gettleman. Dude, you're no better. You are absolutely no better. Reid didn't value wide receivers, JM says. He got to 5 NFC championship games not valuing. And by the way, for the record, he doesn't value him in Kansas City. Doesn't seem to be hurting him there, does it? 2-year point, JM? You think he values wide receivers right now in Kansas City? You didn't have one of them go over $1,000 last year. And you had a guy who's a prolific 4,500 pass yards per season guy. He don't value him. He never has. Doesn't that tell you something of the things that I've been telling you? Andy doesn't value him, and he's been to 10 conference titles. You've won 1 Super Bowl. And by the way, for the record, you had kind of okay with Alshon Jeffries and some of those other dudes in 17. They weren't prolific. But you value them now for sure. We're going to get into a topic of that, by the way. Please hit the like button. We appreciate it. Mark, Dave Gettleman was absolutely a disaster. Absolutely. There's no question. Everybody in New York kept crying about Tom Coughlin and Jerry Reese. Well, shit. The organization has sucked since then. Joe Krause is behind the scene now. He and I grew up the Giants. That's not Wellington Mayor's Giants. My uncle is part of the legacy of that thing, Robustelli. And when you look at the New York Giants today, you're like, that's not Wellington Mara's Giants. I don't know what they're doing. John Mara is Jeannie Buss of today. She's Jeannie Buss. Dude. But still, they've won 2 Super Bowls. Yeah, Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin is everything the coach that Parcells was. Better win percentage. Did as many Super Bowl wins. I mean, what has Parcells done? And what did Parcells do? Parcells benefited a lot from Ray Perkins. Parcells didn't draft LT. Parcells didn't draft Phil Simms. He didn't draft those players. Ray Perkins drafted him. Who do you think hired Belichick? Wasn't Parcells. It was Ray Perkins. There was a culture that was set that Ray went, that he took from Alabama under Bear Bryant and went up there to New York and changed the culture around, put him in the playoffs for the first time since 64. There's something to be said about that. Look at Pittsburgh. I keep bringing up the greatest stat in pro sports when it comes to front offices. You know what that is? They've had 3 coaches since Neil Armstrong was on the moon. 3. Okay? 3. That's stability. That's believing in your process, manipulating and moving around what you do. All right. Enough with that. That is not how. Hey, do you know how watching President Biden do press conferences and debates and such? I don't know why you put him out there like that. I have no idea why you're putting Joe Schoen in front of a camera right now, because that's not helping him. Hey, that's not helping the New York Giants right now. That's not helping them. All right. I got to say this before we get on to our topics. Got a couple legal topics here. Got a bunch of NFL stuff. Don't forget Jason Cole will join us at 4:30 today. We'll talk to him and go around the National Football League. 12 days out from the start of training camp. 6 days. How about this one here too, dude? 6 days until the Jets have training camp. Oh, way to go. Wait a minute here. I'm so worried about getting it, the thing on Twitter, I forgot the most important thing. And Joe Kraus reminds me, it's the signature part of this program. And I do apologize. Bit Holy cow, man. Way to go, Joe. I'm having a Biden moment here. Excuse me. Hey, I'm having a Biden moment. All right. I'm starting not to like Shador Sanders. The Colorado quarterback that Deion Sanders brought up, his son, to the Colorado program. So yesterday, I'm watching a guy roll around with his Rolex at a Big 12 media day. I'm watching him show that he drives around a Rolls Royce. Really great for the kid. That's not my problem. Then he goes around and tells people, I know this, man. We're everybody's Super Bowl. I said this, you won 4 games last year, son. How are you everybody's Super Bowl? That was awful nice of you that you would allow 8 other teams to beat the shit out of you. And Vegas has you at 5.5 this year. How are you everybody's Super Bowl? I'm starting to dislike this kid. Do you think that'll affect his draft status? Absolutely. Nobody wants to sign a dick. Okay? Hey, you know when you can become eccentric? When you're Aaron Rodgers and you won a couple MVPs in a Super Bowl. That's when you can be a jackass. But when you're in college still and you haven't won anything, and last year your team won 4 games, and one of the reasons that you didn't want to throw the ball away and you took so many sacks was because you didn't want to have an incompletion percentage because you know you get paid on stats. Shador Sanders is the prime example of understanding you get paid on numbers. He could have threw the ball away so many more times. You know why he didn't? He didn't want to have a poor incompletion percentage. He didn't want to have that. That's why those numbers are not as good as you think they are. I think he's Jamarcus Russell. And personally, I think there's a character issue with him. I would never draft that guy. I have no interest in drafting Shador Sanders. I think he's got a character problem. And I think I'm not here to tell somebody how to parent their kid. That's not my job. There's no book on it. But I'm telling you this, as a coach, not me, man. I wouldn't sign that kid at all. Absolutely, his dad is failing him. Dude, don't worry about that shit. Success will bring the rewards. You're looking for the rewards before you get to success. That's when you become a failure. I mean, I don't see anything positive with that guy. Is he talented? Dude, being a talented quarterback in the NFL is not enough. That's Jeff George. That's Baker Mayfield. That's Josh Rosen. That's Brandon Whedon. I mean, go down the list. Tim Couch. You can get to the league with talent, but that's not enough to play the position in that league. That's just not enough. I mean, this kid's making me not like him. He's an unlikable guy. We're everybody's Super Bowl. You say that when you're Patrick Mahomes or a Georgia quarterback or a guy who's won a shitload of football games. 4 games. Dude, you know if I played against Shador Sanders with my Miami teams, you know what I would be looking at him as? It's a TV game. It's an exposure game for me, and I'm going to do everything I can to take that kid out. Because I'll get my name in the headlines. We'll beat them by 40. be a nice little roadkill game. They're roadkill. That's a roadkill team. He's roadkill. Absolutely. I love the kid Cam Ward at the University of Miami right now. Okay? He got on his ass. That's right. Thank you very much, disciple. He got on his ass because he went down to Miami, started loafing, didn't want to put the work in. And you know what his excuse was? Hey, the humidity down here is a little bit too hot. The humidity's a little bit too hot. And you're making $4 million in nil. And you're driving a Rolls around telling everybody you're the Super Bowl for everybody else. You're the laughing stock of everybody else. Deion Sanders blocked me. Guy I've known for 40 years. But you know why? I found out I'm not just the only one. He's blocked people who are being critical of his program. He's blocking people who are critical of his program. Reminds me of Bob Lang. I mean, anybody critical, these guys melt and get butthurt. Deion Sanders. I don't want to hear it anymore. What? Win? At the press conference, too, Deion's going like this. Well, every win's not the same. Yeah, it is. Coaches are gauged on wins and losses. Why, are you somebody special? Because you're a Pro Football Hall of Famer? I've never seen a coach diminish his value more when he had to actually pay the rent. Deion, rent's due. Hey, get this. One last thing on this. It razzed me because when I saw it, it bugged me on why am I so hard on him? Kid, don't let an opportunity slip through your fingers like I did. Go work hard for it. Say the right things. Lie if you have to. But don't do this. I mean, you're ruining an opportunity for yourself. You're not helping yourself. Hey, Sales, do you think the Phillies go wire to wire like the Eagles did in 22, but actually finish and do what the Sixers came out and do the East with new additions? 34, it's always going to come down to one thing with the Philadelphia Phillies. It's not going to come down to your bats. Your baseball team, the face of your baseball team is Kyle Schwarber. It's not really Bryce Harper. You're either giving souvenirs up in games to fans or you're striking out. And it's going to come down to bullpen. Bullpen and defense. And if your bullpen holds up, that's what won you the series with Charlie. Was your bullpen and your starting guys. In the postseason, this comes down to starting pitching. And it comes down mostly to your bullpen and your closer. What is the one person that the New York Yankees haven't been able to replace? Is it Jeter? No. Aaron Judge is doing a fine job of that as the face of the Yankees. Who's the one player they haven't replaced? And was the power balance in baseball, especially in the American League? It was Mariano Rivera. Mariano Rivera is arguably the most important Yankee since 1964. They haven't been able to replace him. He is literally unreplaceable. He's won more games. You remember more about Rivera's failures than you do all the tremendous successes he had. Red Sox, Diamondbacks. What about the tons of wins? The 5 championships? The numerous great moments? Jeter's a great player. DiMaggio, replaced. Mantle, replaced. Yogi, replaced. Reggie, replaced. Winfield, replaced. Even Munson. Comes down to Rivera. Pitching is why the Astros have dominated completely. And where they got that mentality from? Remember, the former general manager of the Astros used to be from the St. Louis Cardinal organization. Okay? And they believed in starting pitching and defense. That's why St. Louis was always great during my lifetime, because of pitching. Sills, Phillies winning the World Series, I think they have a great opportunity. Because I'll tell you this, I don't believe in the Dodgers. Listen, I love Andrew Friedman. Andrew Friedman is a dear friend of mine. I covered the Rays back in the day when he was a general manager there, and I talked to him consistently. He does a great job with that checkbook. It's an unlimited checkbook now that he has with the Dodgers. But I'll tell you one thing about, and I'll always say this to you, Clayton Kershaw, or let me say this, who was the guy from the Giants that they had that won all those great postseason games? Madison Bumgarner, okay? Who would you have if you had to win a Game 7? Would you throw Kershaw or would you throw Madison Bumgarner? I don't think that's a debate. It's Madison Bumgarner. This guy has Koufax numbers. Giants won 3 titles up there. Pitching. Okay, Madison Bumgarner, he's a horse. Clayton Kershaw, great in the regular season. Hey, right. Hey, Clayton Kershaw is like the Dak Prescott. Okay, a pitching. Great numbers regular season. Get him in the postseason. I'll take Madison Bumgarner any day. Shit, give me Glavine. I'll take Tom Glavine. You know Tom Glavine is the last 300-game winner in baseball history. You'll never see another 300-game winner. Guys don't go 9 innings. 5 2/3 and they're off the mound. Over to the bullpen, and that's it. Game has changed. 250 will be the new benchmark. You'll never see another 300-game winner. History of the sport. Not happening. 250, 238 will be the new number now that you get when it comes to looking at Hall of Famers. Never. Okay? Tim Lincecum, he was very good. I was in San Francisco when he was pitching, but Bumgarner was insane great. Dude, he was epic in 14 guard. Madison Bumgarner. I'm a fan of his. Phils need a center fielder. If they get this Luis Robert, it's over. Lost to me, man. Nick, I get it. But I think, again, tighten up that bullpen, man. That's the difference that you had when you beat the Rays in the World Series. I remember covering that series. I did the post-game show for the Rays, and I think Game 3 was like the coldest game in the history of baseball or something. There was a rain out. Then it was cold. I forget the dynamic of that whole thing. It was like one of the coldest Game 3s of all time, that World Series. It's pretty good. By the way, I've always told you this. You want to see Philadelphia sports fans? Go to Tampa. You want to see Flyer fans? I told one last thing. Dude, I don't even know where I'm at with this. I'm going to get on my topics here in a minute. The Tampa Bay Lightning, Joe Krause will like this. The Tampa Bay Lightning have a rule that you can't go to their arena and circle the first bottom row with anyone else's gear but Lightning gear. You know why? Because the Flyer fans used to show up down there, and they used to show up to Lightning games, and all you would see is Flyer gear. And you'd walk in there and you'd go, is this the Spectrum South? We would get Ed Schneider on back in the day. God rest his soul. What a great dude. I loved him. Ed would come on the show. He goes, yeah, I'm down here too. I'm like, well, let me guess. You're over in Sarasota. He goes, absolutely. You know where I go. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, how about the Flyer fans? I'm like, I can't believe it, man. Dude, tons of Flyer fans. And then over in Clearwater, too, when they have like their spring training, that place is one of the most packed. There's 2 places that sell out games for minor league baseball. The one on Del Mabry, Yankee Stadium, South, and Clearwater, where the Phillies play. And finally, when I got a chance to meet Dick Allen, and Dick signed my baseball for me. Joe, you'll love this. When Dick Allen signed my baseball for me, was over there at Clearwater. I go up to Dick Allen. I go like this. Wampum. He's looking at me, right? Because Terry Francona, who I know because he was at University of Arizona, he goes like this. You want to meet Dick Allen? I go, oh, my God, I want to meet Dick Allen. He and Reggie are my favorite players. He goes, you want to meet him? He goes, here's a baseball. Throws me a baseball, Major League Baseball. Does it say Selig? Yeah, it's got Bud Selig on it there. So he goes like this. So I go up like I'm a kid. I go up like a kid and I go like this. Hey, Dick, can you sign my baseball, please? Sure, kid. Kid. It's like 40 something. I love Dick Allen. Ugh. Then you guys trade him away to the White Sox. He wins the 73 MVP. Nice move. Anyway, let's move on. Jason Cole will join us at 4:30. All right. One comment that I'm going to make as we're 12 days out from the start of training camp for the Eagles. Who has the total autonomy in the offense? It's not a major topic here, but just a question. Is it Nick or Kellen? And if you say Kellen, can that dynamic work? Joe's behind the scene here. I'd be like, Joe owns the company. I have say over Joe's company. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. Kellen has complete control of Nick's destiny. Can that dynamic work? Yeah, Kyle says we know it's how. Howie and him aren't putting the game plan together. Or I'm hoping not. Can that work? That's a good one, Bob. It can work in the short term. They win and Kellen moves on. So, Bob, I never thought of this. So, Bob, it's a one-year thing. Is that what we're saying here? This is a one-year deal. Because I don't think this can work long term. Can you really have a guy that's on your coaching staff that the head coach has no say in what you're going to do any given Sunday? Can you do that? And can that work? Hey, look, I'm not asking you, hey, was Kellen going to be a great offensive coordinator? I'm talking about the dynamic between Kellen and Nick. Have the Eagles put Nick? Now, let's do this. If you're Nick, how should you act to this? Let's look at both sides of it, okay? Let's look at both sides. If you're Nick, don't you go home, have a conversation with your old lady and say this, you know, if I listen to what they say, I'll keep my job. And your wife will go, what if Kellen is not performing well and the offense isn't performing well? Don't you say this? Well, this is what they wanted. Then your wife goes, you're going to pay for that. And then you have to come up with, how do I politically navigate through this? Do you go to Howie? Do you go to the owner and subtly start to say, because remember something, that organization doesn't like to be challenged. Just ask Doug Peterson. How do you navigate through that? Nick's got to save his gig. I said this yesterday to you. He is the only coach in the National Football League that doesn't have his own fate in his own hands. He's the only guy. Kyle Shanahan has his own fate. Even Dan Campbell has his own fate. Brad Holmes has made it clear. This is Dan's operation. These are all his assistant coaches. He handpicked these guys with a little help from Chris Spielman. My Jalen stat line prediction, 27 touchdowns, 11 picks, 3,700 yards, 560 yards rushing. I think these are fair numbers. Is that $50 million, Jameson? Thank you very much. Damn, Jameson. That's what I'm paying for? Whew. That don't seem like I'm getting my money's worth. With that talent, that's what I'm getting? It's one thing to have Lamar Jackson numbers with nobody on it. Like I said, Lamar Jackson didn't have a receiver with 900 yards on the field. He didn't have a running back with more than 800 yards. And they won 14 games, and he was the MVP. You've got all that collection of talent, and you're giving me 3,700 yards and 27 touchdowns? I'm not sure that's enough. Is it? I think that's a bad season. I think that's a bad season. Don't you? Seals, if they limp into the playoffs, Nick is gone and Kellen the Vulture gets the bump up. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I think Jalen will struggle at first. And with intercept, we're gonna get to a topic here in a second on this. Lamar's a better quarterback. It is that simple, Sills. Carmine says that. Carmine, yeah, he is. I didn't realize it until yesterday. He's by far a better quarterback. It's not close. He doesn't have anywhere near the talent that Hurts has, and he does more with it. I mean, the the tight end, he missed 7 ball games last year. Who was he throwing to? How did he win the MVP last year? I have no idea how that guy won the MVP award. He carried that entire unit. I say 30 never happened. He's not going to have 30 touchdowns. He's never had more than 24 or 23, whatever it is. He's 5 years in as a pro now, 4 years as a starter going into. Come on, man. Seals, could there be a possibility Eagles hire Frank Reich as the Eagles head coach next year? No, it would be more as a court. Listen, if they make a new head coaching hire, I could see Frank coming in and being a consultant or on the coaching staff. They really like him. But remember something here, okay? Frank's got 2 years remaining, I think. 2 years remaining. He's owed $30 million. Why would I take a job? Just like Bill Belichick. Everyone's like, Belichick didn't get hired. Well, Belichick's got 2 years of $20 million annually coming from the Patriots. Why would I take a shitty Atlanta job when I don't have complete power and I'm going to sit on the inside the NFL desk making $20 million a year? Why would I do that? I wouldn't. Seals, is there any possibility that Sirianni will finally and grow balls to take his team back knowing he is in a lose-lose situation? He's expendable. Maybe. But that'll get him fired. Doug wanted to take the team back. Doug wanted a team. Remember something. The ownership group and the front office grabbed power after Chip. That's right, Jack. The media is wrong. They're just taking shots at Belichick. Why would Bill take a job when you're making $20 million annually to take a lesser gig with lesser talent? Why would he do that? He's won 8 Super Bowls. I'll go sit on the desk inside the NFL for 30 minutes a week. I'll do some broadcasting and collect my money and go play golf. Why in the world would I put myself in a position of failure when I'm getting over the next couple of years $40 million? What's the point? What? He didn't get the Atlanta job. Yeah, because they didn't want to give him complete autonomy over personnel and the hiring of coaches. The Atlanta Falcons wanted to keep some personnel. That's why they hired a lesser coach in Raheem Morris. And I love Raheem. I do. I love Raheem. I got a lot of respect for Raheem Morris. I don't know how. You're right. This could work 1 year. But I'll tell you what, if you get out like to what Bob Brown says, you get out to a bumpy start, that's going to be tested immediately. There is your first red flag to keep an eye on, is the relationship not between Kellen Moore and Jalen. It's between Nick and Kellen. That is the first red flag. See how those two guys are working together. This is a sport of egos. Howie has one. The owner has one. Nick has one. To an extent, Jalen has one. A.J. Brown has one. The entire team has it. Nothing wrong with that. If you know how to bottle it up, not act like Shador Sanders, and you know how to handle yourself professionally, it's a good thing. The problem is when you start acting like an ass clown on the sidelines, like Pinocchio Sirianni, and you start watching the guy and you're like, hold up here. Where's Big Dom? Dom, settle that guy down. Imagine that. You have to elevate a guy so he doesn't get thrown off the sidelines to settle your head coach down. That's one other thing that I would tell the guy. Hey, Nick, try to act a little more professional this year. That would go a long way for the unit, too. Perception is a lot of things. If they see your general acting like an ass clown out there, they're pretty much going to act like an ass clown, too. If they see a guy that's stoic on the sidelines and has everything under control and things are calm, that's one of the greatest things I always loved about Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy's been on this program numerous times. And I asked Tony, what was the most important thing that you brought to your team? You know what he said? Never get too high when the highs are high. And never get too low when the lows are low. Your team looks at that. You have an even keel mentality. People are going to look at that as confidence. And they're going to believe in that. And I'm like, that's great. It's great advice for young coaches. Don't get crazy when things are going nuts. And don't get crazy when things are going sideways. Act accordingly. Players have emotions. The coaches aren't supposed to. Hey, it's cool to win. And it's shitty to lose. I get it. Those are all going to come out. But how you represent yourself in front of your team also, and your coaching staff. You tell your coaching staff on a Tuesday, we have all the people in the building that we need to go forward and win. Then you fired a guy on Friday. That's not confidence when it comes to your team or your coaching staff. That's not comfortable or confident. I know a lot of Eagle fans won't like my prediction, but I'm just being real. Hopefully, Jalen puts up numbers when it counts and matters most. I got it. Hey, Jameson, you're looking at the reality of a system being implemented. And get this, you're looking at all, and this is what normal people are looking at, Jameson. People are looking at the great talent that the Eagles have around Jalen Hurts and expecting it to click quicker versus a team that doesn't have. And I'm going to make a point here in a minute and ask you this. By the way, we're going to do the Big Sills Top 25 Eagles today, and I'm going to put them in ranking. We're going to do that here in a second. But we're going to ask you this. Your point is great. I look at the Philadelphia Eagles, Jameson, and you tell me, and anyone else, I look at the Eagle offense right now. It is a fantasy football league, guys, wet dream. Is it not? It is the ultimate dream when it comes to picking, when it comes to having fantasy numbers, right? Everywhere. Wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, quarterback is dual threat, the offense itself. It's a fantasy football guy's dream. You had a fantasy team last year, right? Because it wasn't a reality team. It was a fantasy team. Put up big numbers. And you had great teams don't have 1-7 meltdowns. Get this. Baltimore was a great team last year. It fell short. You weren't a great team. You didn't fall short of shit. You were who you were at the end. Besides the slide at the regular season, the playoff game was an emphatic example of the year. It validated the year, your playoff game. Did it not? Right? It was a fantasy football team last year. Somebody's going to take Barkley with the number 1 overall pick, I bet. No way. Over McCaffrey? Okay. So this year, let's do this. This is going to be, now, I want to throw this at you guys. This is a question. It's a question. Don't bug out. It's a question. Okay? I want to hear one person say they're not going to bug out when I say this. I want just one person. It's a question. I don't want you to bug out. Okay? All right. Carmine. Do you believe A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith hurt or help in the development of Jalen Hurts? Do you think those two guys help Jalen Hurts' development as a quarterback? You think it helps him? So let me ask you this. You think it's better to have primary targets or a quarterback that can spread the ball around in an offense? Jordan Love got better without Devontae Adams. You've had 2 years of two receivers with 1,000 yards. Got you nothing. Old school coaching was way better. This is why you have a lot of Hall of Fame players coming from those coaches. McVay's the only young coach I like. Get this. All the big programs right now that went far last year have quarterbacks that don't have 2,000-yard receivers, 1,000-yard backs. They got quarterbacks that can spread the ball around. When you have two primary targets, you become predictable. San Francisco spreads the ball around with Brock Purdy. Jordan Love spreads the ball around. Who are the two teams in the NFC that have primary targets? Cowboys and Eagles. You think that helps in his development? Well, then why did everybody on the Eagle team have a good year but your quarterback? You know why? He's throwing the primary targets the defenses can read. And this is why these big-time wide receivers don't deliver Super Bowls. Niners had one wide receiver with 1,000 yards. They didn't have two. Tight end didn't even have 1,000. They spread the ball around. They don't have primary targets. Don't you think that's better in the development of a quarterback than having one guy? Kittle, what do you have? 700 yards? 800 yards? Something like that? McCaffrey's a dual threat back, too. 1,000 yards rushing. Real good in receiving. Spreading the ball around to him. They don't have one target. They got McCaffrey, Kittle, Ayuk. They spread it around. 2 catches, 4 yards in Super Bowl. Okay. So you really believe having two primary targets, get this, having a primary target in Green Bay didn't help Rodgers with Devontae Adams. Kirk Cousins with a primary target and Justin Jefferson didn't help him. They moved off of Tyreek Hill. And now, guess what? Mahomes is a better quarterback. Think about that. Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback today. Okay? Don't agree with a number of things you say, but thank you. When it is good thing to have only 2 players to throw to, why have others on the team? Nick always saying the offense goes through 2 guys. Right. They're primary targets. Get this. Here's the thing. Every single one of these wide receivers, Tyreek Hill right now, there's a conversation in Miami that they're talking about trading him to the Steelers. Every quarterback. Hey, does Lamar Jackson have a primary target? Does Jordan Love? No. Does Stroud? We'll see when Nico, we'll see. Burrow can spread the ball around. Those are guys that spread the. Andrews missed 7 games last year. JM missed 7 games. Yeah, but Nico can spread the ball around. He's a much better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. Stop what, dude? When you have target guys that you're relying that you're going to get the ball to, you become predictable. You don't think that this offense is going to be as predictable as ever when you have 2 primary guys that they're going to get the ball to? If I'm a D coordinator, you help me out on half the battle because your guy's not good enough in progression reading. I already know this. Kellen Moore is being asked to do a lot. One thing he can't do, Goddard was bitching at the beginning of the year last year. Oh, that's right. You got a new coordinator. We'll see. We'll see if Jalen can find him. Sills, primary offensive targets give the D a focal point. Spreading the ball around forces the D to cover all parts of the field. Bob, that's the conversation right there. That's harder to defend when I don't know where you're going with the ball. Hey, Bob, let me ask you this because you're one of the very smart guys in here. Don't you think that has made the Kansas City Chiefs even more formidable, that they don't know who's getting the ball each and every single Sunday versus a guy that they're force feeding every time and going to a T.O. or to a Tyreek Hill or someone like that all the time? There's a reason that these wide receivers do not deliver Super Bowls. None of them do. Of the top 10 wideouts, I've made this point to you. Only Tyreek Hill, and this is before he signed that Miami deal, has won a Super Bowl. None of them, Jefferson, AJ, Adams, Diggs, Cooper Kupp didn't get that contract until after the Super Bowl, and he took a hometown discount. But the point is, don't you think that makes your quarterback better and helps your quarterback more when they don't know where it's going to? If I'm playing the Eagles, I know AJ and Devontae are what was the target total? What was the target total he had? 37% of the targets? Okay, so get this. Obviously, that number on the other side has got to be in the 20s. So you're talking about 50% of the plays go through those 2 guys. How does that make your quarterback better? When I know that you're going 50% of the time, if you have 10 plays, 5 of them at least are going to those 2 dudes. I'm not threatened by Goddard. That's why, if you notice, when Goddard is healthy, Goddard's a force out there because why? The defensive coordinators don't believe they're going anywhere else. And when Goddard's healthy and he's in the game, he's an absolute force. That's why it's critical he's healthy this year. No question. And when you limit the running game that you limited last year, especially late in the season, now again, will that all change this year? New coordinators should dictate that. I'm assuming that as well. Right? If your quarterback can lift the team up with less talent, wide receivers, obviously that will help more than a wide receiver. It goes hand in hand. Hey, dude, NC Wells. How did the guy in Baltimore win the MVP award? He didn't have anybody with 900 yards. He had one guy with 800. The next closest guy had 500. He didn't have a back over 820 yards. How did he win the MVP? And they won 14 games and got beat in the AFC title game by Mahomes. You talk about making your team better. That's carrying a football team on your back. There's no 2,000-yard receivers in Baltimore. There's none of that. There's none of that. Hey, what's his name? People forget Mike Evans. He's really good. Yeah, well, Tom Brady's also really good. And if you remember correctly, who became a force in that team when they won their Super Bowl? It wasn't Mike Evans. It was Leonard Fournette when they were doing the checkdowns and Gronk picked his game up because they were going underneath passes. And let's not forget something. When you talk about Brady, Brady was never a deep thrower. Brady was a check down Charlie guy. That's how he won those 7 Super Bowls. Wasn't throwing deep passes. The only year he ever really had was with Moss, and they lost. He won with Welker and Edelman and Amendola. And when he got down to Tampa again, no risk it, no biscuit, wasn't cutting it. They were 7-5 after that Chicago game. Then he changed the offense back around and went to playoff Lenny. He went and they compromised. That was something on Arians, where Arians, you give him credit for. He went, okay, Tom, this is on you then. Eagle fan, Cosell, he's talking about the, I'm assuming the NFL Films guy also said that Barkley isn't a go-get-it type of back. He's a big play back. Okay, Brady was the best at reading defenses. That's plain and simple. Carmine is exactly correct. Nobody in the history of reading defenses is ever in Tom Brady's nobody. Maybe Montana. Fill in the blank. Jalen will throw interceptions. I say somewhere between 9 and 11. No, Jalen loves the deep ball and will take risk. He fumbles a lot too. 9, 9, and 9. He's fumbled in the last 3 years per season. Philly, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let me think. Fill in the blank. Here, would this make sense for you? I think he throws a lot of interceptions early. And as the year goes on, he gets better. Because he'll be able to be more antiquated with the offense. And he'll understand more. I don't think you have enough time to put the offense in. I think this ship sailed. There's just not enough time. I think it sailed. You had very limited time in OTAs and minicamp. You're not going to do anything in exhibition football. You have a little bit of training camp, which they don't really believe in. And the next time you're really going to see Jalen play any significant football is September 6th. How are you implementing an offense? Guys in pajamas? Those aren't quality reps. You don't have enough time. You're going to have to use the regular season to get yourself up to speed. You're not, unless you, hey, if they played, the Eagle guys played a game in the preseason, like a half, that's going to give you more quality reps. And I'm going to be like this, okay. But you're not. You couldn't, you had 17 games last year to get it right, and you couldn't. I say this, he probably has, to answer your question, thank you for the super chat. $13 and 15, 13 to 15 interceptions. Somewhere in there. Between 13 and 15 picks. Here, I'll give you a little bit more here. I think he'll be better next year if given the opportunity with the same coordinator. Because we'll have another year in the system. That's if they keep the coordinator and the unit. Sills. What really hurts and having a primary target is when the play breaks down, the D knows where the ball is going for a jump ball. When Mahomes breaks down, he'll find the last guy on the bench. That is completely about spreading it around. Absolutely true. Hey, Lord Vaughn, you keep saying that Josh Allen, and everyone else keeps saying that Josh Allen led the league in interceptions. Josh Allen has a higher win percentage than what Jalen Hurts has. He's won 4 division titles. And also, in the last 3 years, he's thrown 100 touchdown passes. I mean, yes, he's a lot like Favre. But you keep dismissing. He also throws for 35 touchdowns and 4,700 yards. And he's got a laser beam for an arm. Nobody outside of some of the massive idiots we have here think that guy is remotely close. Your guy's not even close to Jared Goff. And there's no primary targets. This guy, how many yards did Stephon Diggs have in that Bills game versus the Eagles where he had 502 total yards? Hey, you guys give credit to Jalen Hurts for having a great game against Patrick Mahomes and a loss to Mahomes and a loss in the Super Bowl. He had 500 yards in total offense. He had 74 of that. The rest of them were him. Nobody in their right mind thinks that guy's. Dude, you imagine Allen on that Eagle team? They'd go 20-0. They go 20-0. Josh Allen, the greatest quarterback, never or will ever win a Super Bowl. No, that'd be Dan Marino. Hall of Famer, too, by the way. I'm not even giving Hurts a lot of credit, but damn, your minds change when Sills talked. I mean, wait a minute, 2-5. I'm not trying to change anybody's opinion. I'm asking you one possible question here. Let's circle back to the question. Dennis goes, Dan, you're going to force us to stop listening and switch over to tone. Go ahead. Sure, he does a fine job. We all love him here. Krause, Xander, we all love him. Go ahead. Have at it. You're not obligated. Always tell everybody, this isn't the military draft. That's like when people tell me, hey, why are you posting this on your Twitter? Because it's my Twitter page. This is my show. No one's forcing you to be here and post 17 million times. We invite you. You've built the show up. I love talking to some of you. But when you make comments like that, you're not obligated, guy. We're not married. Sills, we paid Hurts to replicate getting to the Super Bowl, not throwing for 5,000 yards. Martin, well, then why are you changing them? And by the way, you'd be the only organization that paid for a quarterback to get you to a Super Bowl. They pay people on numbers. The tight end position has delivered more Super Bowls. Gronk, Kelsey should have been paid more than receivers. Correct. That's why it's one and disciple. That's why that position is one of the most important positions in the league today, because it's mismatches against linebackers and safeties. Okay? Dude, it was 1 year Wentz had 1-2 where he was now. Carmine, remember something about Carson Wentz. He's your all-time single-season passing yardage leader and your touchdowns leader. Just remember that. And he didn't have, the year he threw for $4,000, he didn't have a receiver on the team that had over 500 yards, except for the tight end. That's not a receiver. I think they're changing his INT problems. Let's pick up. How's that? With a lesser center And how? With more passing? Dude, Martin, Brady struggled with pressure in the middle. And you think Hurts is going to pick that up quicker than Brady did? What was the one area where Tom Brady, his entire career, was an issue? You know what that was? Blitz pickup, internal pressure. Brady got his knee blown on internal pressure. Gets Kansas City in the opener. I want winners. You want winners, okay? Want winners. Then how come every quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes that's been paid in the top 10 have a losing record in the postseason, including your guy? You want winners. Everyone gets on Dak Prescott for being 2-5. Name me a quarterback outside of Mahomes that's got a winning record in the postseason, and I'll show you winners. Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy, those guys. Isn't that funny? Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo have a better postseason record than the highest paid guys in the league, like Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff. Every one of them. What are you talking about? You're making it sound like there's quarterbacks out there that have winning records in postseason play. They don't. Joe Burrow has one. Joe Burrow has a winning record. There's one, Joe Burrow and Mahomes. That's it. And then it's Garoppolo. It's Purdy. It's guys like that. Nobody would ever confuse those guys with the highest paid guys in the league, would you? Jackson put up points on the Niners with his offense. We scored under 17. Lamar Jackson is must-watch television. He's must-watch television. Burrow went to the bowl with Chase and Higgins. He went to 2 straight AFC title games, too. Seals, Nick's not going to help Hurts read blitzes. It's going to be Fangio, and I believe he will improve. Fangio is going to help Jalen Hurts read blitzes. He's got enough to worry about with coming up with a pass rush on that side of the ball. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. Jalen could have an MVP year if they would run the 22 offense. Amen, Charlie. Isn't that funny, Charlie? That's all I'm asking you to do. That's all I'm asking you to do. And I'll agree with you, Charlie. Charlie, watch this. Yes. You run the 22 offense with the same personnel you have now, you're unbeatable. You run the 23 offense with a better coordinator, you're completely beatable. Completely beatable. Proved it out last year. Barkley said, okay, so do you actually think Saquon Barkley is an upgrade? Probably so. But his upgrade is not going to take away the deficiency of losing Jason Kelce. So it's kind of a wash. You got the same team coming back. What's going to change? Kellen Moore? Better hope so. Hey, Saquon Barkley doesn't cover the loss of Kelce. He doesn't. You're the same team with a different guy play calling. And that's what you're counting on. And this is why I say you're going to be as predictable as you were a year ago. 2 primary targets. You get nothing out of wide receiver 3. Nothing. Here is where I disagree with Sills. Cam Jurgens is going to be really good, but not Kelce, obviously. I don't know why you're I'm agreeing with you. Facts, JM, the reason why Hurts started getting hurt. Okay, well, at the end of the day, that's who he is. I told you at the beginning, 3 years ago in our conversations about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is not with a long life shelf. They're trying to extend his life shelf. The problem is he doesn't have the talent for that. Or wait, I'll take that back. He doesn't have the skill set for that. You're trying to create a skill set he doesn't have. Reading defenses. He's a read option guy. Well, read option. Run him. He is completely a read option guy. He's great. By the way, would I make this point to you? Get this. I hadn't thought of this. But here, I'll give you this on Jalen. Sills, is he the greatest read option quarterback you've ever seen? Yeah. Then why'd they take it away? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Now you're going to make him even more predictable. You know why? Owner likes to throw the ball, right? Those two wide receivers are going to get to. Hey, you're paying guys $50 million. Here's going to get the majority of your targets. Those two guys. Dude, like I said, when I'm a coordinator, I already know 70% of your offense. I know two guys that are going to get the ball. And now I can't wait to see how you figure out Barkley, because he's not good at checkdown, so I'm not really thinking he's going to have a lot of catches. So that's going to be taken away. That helps me out for my linebackers not having to stay at home. So he's not going to throw underneath. The tight end will concern me if he's healthy, because that will open up the middle of the field and give them an opportunity to spread it around if he can find Goddard. But if you remember Goddard after the first 3 games? He started making comments publicly saying, hey, I really love what, kind of we're doing here, but yeah, I wish I was more involved in the pass game. Now, again, that's the coordinator, new coordinator. We'll see. I want to see I think Kellen Moore is going. Why is it that Jalen Hurts publicly is commenting more with dissatisfaction with what he's doing? And you know what? This is kind of like the Biden thing. Don't believe what you're hearing. You're hearing the quarterback not really 100% behind what they're doing, but you're not believing what you're hearing. You're not believing it. Why? You think he's lying? You think Jalen is miscommunicating with you? Offense is 95% new. Do you like the new offense? I'll let you know. Those are comments that he made, not me. Those were comments he made. And so when you're listening to him, we got people in here who are saying that's not what he meant. How do you make that assessment? That's not what he meant. That's not what he meant. What are you talking about? He's saying it there. He's sitting there at a press conference. He was asked questions. Even Reuben Franks was like, what'd you say? So, Martin, that's a good question, Martin. So what do you want us to prepare for then, Sills, as fans? To pump the brakes. Listen, Martin, if you got out to a 2-2 start, so that's what the Chiefs did. Get this. Spike just said I made that up. I have the direct quotes. I posted them. He's saying, look at what he's doing. This guy must be a Democrat. Like you see these guys, when they throw something out, they'll continually tell you something. And then after a while, what they'll do, they'll tell you they didn't hear it. Jalen Hurts was asked the question, do you like the offense? This is exact quote. And he said, I'll let you know. Then they asked him, what about the new offense? Well, it's 95% new. He's trying to tell you, Spike, that he didn't say that now. Go back and watch it, dude. It's exactly what he said. Here's what I would say. And this is anything for a good coordinator and a good team. You're going to get out of the gate slow, and it's going to be bumpy. But it's not how you start. It's how you finish, like the Chiefs did. They got better as the season got on. You got horribly worse. In my opinion, so what? Just look for what they're doing to try to change up what they did a year ago. And if you see the progress, what was Mahomes saying when they got beat by the Raiders at Arrowhead? Guys will come around. We'll be okay. Just hang in there with them. I've got a lot of faith in them. We're going to make this thing, and it's going to work. Hey, Spike, I don't care if you don't believe it now. It's there publicly. You can go listen to it again. It's right there on the Eagle website. It's all good. Okay? So I'm very optimistic Jalen can run past Smith, Brown, Barkley, Dallas with the play calling of Moore. I think you're crazy. Seals, you're absolutely right. But the talent at the wide receiver position isn't the issue. It's not. It's the scheme completely and the organization's decisions that hurt the team. And I would add this too, Ace, and hurts. That right there in a nutshell, Ace, exactamundo. Correct. It's not the talent. It's exactly what Ace is saying. There's no, dude, nobody would have an issue with the talent that you have on that team, especially offensively. Absolutely, you'd be an asshole to say that. Well, then what are you doing wrong? How could a team with that kind of talent a year ago have that kind of disastrous ending? Coaching decisions organizationally? Yes. Schematically? That's all self-inflicted stuff. Imagine that. You imploded your football team because you basically didn't know what you were doing with what you had. It's like driving the Titanic into an iceberg. But again, when I always tell you that, is that at least in the movie, I know the boat goes down. I mean, I know the boat goes down. Okay, wait a minute. You just got done saying teams with high-paid receivers don't win. Now the talent. Okay, once again, you're not listening, guy. The talent on your football team's not the issue. It's how you're using them. Who gives a shit if you have 2,000-yard receivers? What is that? Why is that a thing? Actually, I think that look at the teams that had two 1,000-yard receivers last year. Seattle, Miami, the Eagles. Where'd they go? How good were those teams? Who else? Did any of the teams in the NFC title game or AFC title game have two 1,000-yard receivers? Let me think. Well, let me see this here. Hey, you want to hear something crazy? In the AFC championship game, there wasn't a wide receiver on both the Chiefs and the Ravens to have 1,000 yards. There wasn't a running back on both teams that had 1,000 yards. I maybe Pacheco did. Maybe he did. How come it did? How come those guys don't have those kind of players on the team? They got to the conference title games. $49ers? No, I was talking the AFC title game. Because that's where the Super Bowl was going to come out of anyway. Maybe San Francisco would have beat. No, wait, Baltimore crushed San Francisco. The Super Bowl was the AFC title game. It wasn't the Super Bowl itself. The Ravens had crushed the Niners. They crushed. Hey, well, JM, Baltimore had Lamar Jackson. He spanked the 49ers. Here's Slagger. This is so dopey. I get the idea that you have to have balance to the team, but to say that teams can't win because they paid receivers is silly. Name me one. Come on, Slagger. Name me one. Mike Evans just got his deal. When they won the Super Bowl, he wasn't making top-end money. Name me one. Name me one team in the last 5 years that had a big paid wide receiver that won a Super Bowl. Name me one. At the current contract time. Name me one. Let's see. Rams weren't paying anybody. Cup got paid after. Nope, that's not true. He got paid after the Super Bowl, dude. See, so you had Chiefs, obviously no. Chiefs, obviously no. Rams didn't have it. That's the topic, Eagle fan. You think having primary targets helps your quarterback become the better quarterback, right? And someone goes like this, Sills, these guys are so productive. Then why'd you shit the bed in the season then? Can you imagine that? The AFC title game didn't have one wide receiver on the field with both units that had a grand. And I'm not even sure they had a back with 1,000 yards between Lamar and Mahomes. The Super Bowl was the AFC title game. Wasn't the Super Bowl. Ravens had already killed them. Okay, you think they lost to the Chiefs because they had good receivers? Sorry. Get this. No, Slagger. Once again, fuckbag. That's not what I'm saying. I'm telling you the quarterback knows how to spread the ball around. That's the topic. Try to stay on level playing field here. That's the topic. When you have primary receivers, it don't help you. Kansas City Chiefs moved off of one of the greatest deep threats of all time, and Mahomes is better. He's a better quarterback. Oh. How come when I talk facts to you, you guys try to skew them and say, no, that's not true? Well, wait a minute. Lamar's not Patrick Mahomes. He's won 2 MVP awards, and he's 26 years old. Spreading the ball around is how you win Super Bowls, not going to 2 guys. That doesn't win it for you. You don't have any place on the planet in the last 5 years where you show me where that worked. You have nowhere to go. Yours is theory. Mine's fact. The quarterback Green Bay's a better offense right now without Devontae Adams. Is that true or false? And he's a young quarterback. Here, let's do this. He's a younger quarterback than Hurts, right? Let me ask you this. Okay? He's a younger quarterback. Is Green Bay better now without Devontae Adams? Sills, why are you lying? That's BS. Jalen needs a coach. Here's again, to get a little off topic. Jalen will never get a coach. He's had 5 coordinators in 4 years. Nick, Shane, Brian, and now Kellen. 4 and 3 years starting. He'll never get one. He's had one decent one, good one, in Shane. But Shane had a year and a half. What coach is going to teach him how to read a defense? Carmine, I believe because Brady said that he learned it and kept learning it and kept learning it and kept learning it and kept learning it every year he was in the league. It was a constant battle to be able to learn how to read defenses. I think you can improve, but that takes time. It took Brady 25 years to become the quarterback that he was, even in the end. Do you understand? The reason that Tom Brady played so long was because why? There wasn't a game that he didn't go into where he hadn't played that game 5 or 6 times already. And he knew exactly where to go with the ball, what he was going to do, how he envisioned it, and who he was going to go. There's no question about it. And you know what he also had that a lot of coordinators, Jalen doesn't have it either. Why throw the ball down the field? Punt. Punt. Brady's best friends were his punter and his field goal kicker. Were they not? Brady won his first 3 Super Bowls on the backs of his punter and field goal kicker, Adam Vinatieri. Why? Because he was learning how to read defenses and he was patient. Not open deep, check down. Not open deep, tight end pass. Not open deep, flare pass to tight end. Or it's to running back, to Shoney Michelle. All I could say about Lamar Jackson is good luck trying to stop him. The RPO system is about to go to another level with Derrick Henry in the backfield. Disciple, there is not a chance in hell that defense that the Eagles have will stop that Baltimore offense. And if Mark Andrews is on the field, there's not a chance they stop him. Who covers Andrews? And who on that team versus one of the worst tackling teams in the league is going to tackle Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? It wouldn't shock me they have two 1,000-yard rushers on that team this year. And if Zay Flowers happens to keep progressing into being the player and he can find him, that's going to be a frightening thing to watch. What linebacker do you have that's going to cover Derrick Henry? And if you're not covering Henry, who's covering Andrews? Bryce Huff? We're going to show you the difference in talent. Keith. Nice, Keith. I like that. That's good, Keith. Okay. I'm still learning his plays, changing coordinators every season. Absolutely. That's got to be so awful for Jalen Hurts to have to constantly be listening. Hey, and I brought this up with Xander the other day. When you hear John McMullen saying this on Birds 365, by the way, I implore you to listen. When he says this, he goes, yeah, Jalen's learning new terminology. Why would I make my quarterback learn new terminology? Why don't you make the OC learn it? Why make his job even tougher? Least amount of resistance gives you the best formula for success. Signed Joe Madden. He told me that. That's a Joe Madden specialty. I was like, Joe, how do you connect with your guys in the dugout? And he's like, least amount of resistance gives you the best formula for success. If I'm screaming at a kid, he's never heard from me or he never heard me ever have a conversation with him, I don't know anything about him, it's destructive. But if I come from a place of love and he knows where I'm coming from and I've had a personal relationship with the kid, he's gonna know it's being constructive. It's all about communicating and being that kind of coach. Okay? If you're just screaming at somebody, that's destructive. I know, hey, and I know I've told you guys this numerous times. Jimmy Johnson, Joe Krause would love this one. Jimmy Johnson sit there and go like this. He's on my ass, getting my ass. He's kicking my ass. He's telling me all kinds of shit. Like, you got to get your head. And I'm going like, why are you on me? Worry when I'm not. Oh. Oh. Worry when I'm not. Because when I don't give a shit, you got bigger problems. Oh, okay. Yeah. I hadn't thought of it that way, especially when you're young. Someone's knee deep in your ass and you're not getting it. And that coach goes like this. Worry when I'm not. Because when I don't give a shit, you got big problems. You tell your grandpa you'd be working on that lobster boat soon. That was said to me. Shit. Stubbs looks over. Jerome Brown looks over at me. Damn. I'm like, oh, shit. Hey, no shit. Coaching is education. Same idea as high school teacher. Absolutely, my friend. Okay. Daniel goes like this. Why so pessimistic? It's not pessimistic. I know how these things work, man. It's going to take. No. Hey, Daniel, telling you that your offense is going to take a little time and you have to pump the brakes and give it a little chance and a little chance to breathe at the beginning of the year. It's more important at how you look at the end of the year, like the Chiefs. That's not pessimistic. Pessimistic what? For the first 4 games of the year? Are you going to moan and bitch about that? Or are we going to have a whole sample size of 17 ball games? That's not pessimistic. Why don't you try to go through the normal realm of realistic ways of how this is going to play out instead of saying, hey, we're good. We'll be ready to roll September 6th. How did you even practice this stuff when the quarterback is still bitching about him not having the right installs yet? You're listening to him talk and you're not believing him. Okay? Realistically, 10-7 playoff win. Carmine. Carmine, are you saying 10-7? Here, watch this, Carmine. I say you have a 12-win offense. I say you have a 7-win defense. So that's kind of where you are. Is Reddick being a samurai in Japan? Hey, Keith. He's now working with Jackie Chan. He's going to fight Godzilla soon. He's going to fight Godzilla. No, I actually hear the Jets want to work on giving him a little bit more money. Okay? Swift, great question. Sills, do you know Jerome loved playing for Buddy? I'll give you hey, Charlie, stop me if you heard this. Okay? You guys brought me in and you were going to sign me. I had a 3-year contract right in front of me. I had just been released by the Bucks. First trip up was because Buddy coached me a little bit when he came down his 2 years, when he got the first year and the second year of the Eagles, 86 and 87. He came down to visit me and he coached us. And so the general manager takes me up there. God, I can't remember who it was in 87. And I hated everything that was going on in Tampa, man. I blew that whole thing up. And hey, I go like this. I go like this, and they work me out. I think Jeff Fisher was the D-line coach. And Jeff goes, yeah, we're going to sign you. I'm like, great. They just played a Monday night. It was a Tuesday, players' day off. And Jerome was waiting for me because we were going to go get something to eat. And so he goes like this. He goes, hey, yeah, I didn't play very well last night. Buddy got my shit. I'm like, we're walking out, and general manager takes me, goes, Buddy, here's Sileo. Buddy turns and looks at me. He's so pissed off. Yeah, you see that guy last night? You see his fat ass? You see him lay down against the Giants last night? I didn't say that. You think I want another one of you around? Get him out of here. The general manager almost shit. He had the papers in his hands. And I'm looking at everyone going, a drum goes like this. So years later, I talked to Buddy. He was, but Jerome loved it. Jerome loved playing for him, man. He absolutely he did. Hey, Charlie, I was this close, man. I was absolutely this close. Hey, Perez, not happening today. Xander's got shit to do today. How you doing? Just big sales, baby. Then we're gonna have our friend Jason Cole at 4:30. Okay. Hey, Perez says that. What are you talking about? You're losing it. Well, this is usually what normal people do when we're talking and having conversation. And I know that's like probably foreign to you. So I'll speak how probably you hear me. But when yep, Eagles. I'm sure you understand that. It was Harry Gamble. That's it. Hey, Perez, or no, probably bet. This would be more Perez's. Ooh, I just love Howie. The folks over at JAKIB Sports, Big Joe Krause, got me a great Christmas gift. They got Howie Roseman's face on each knee pad. Couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Then I got a little blanket with Jeffrey Lurie on it. It's got his nice face. It's got a yacht on it, too. It's really wonderful. Right? No. Starting. No, I didn't say I was starting. I said they were bringing me in. I didn't say it. Wait a minute. Let me take a look at that. Let me see if I have that. Hold on here. Oh, yeah. I'll have to take a look at it. Oh, gee, I've ruined it. Just so we know, the defensive tackles. This was the Pro Bowl list. See? You got a chance to vote for the Pro Bowl. And look at that. Who's on that? Is that Big Sales down there? Where it says Tampa Bay? Big Sales made a Pro Bowl ballot? How's that possible? How's that possible that Big Sales made a Pro Bowl ballot? How's that possible? How could that possibly be? So who'd you have? Ken Clark, Mike Golick, and Mike Pitts. And get this, Jerome wasn't the starter then. Ken Clark and Mike Pitts were the starters. I think somebody got hurt. Okay? Jerome wasn't the starter. Big Sales, where is that? Tampa Bay Bucks. There he is right there. Big Sales. Woo-wee, how you doing? Big Sales on a Pro Bowl ballot. Hey, C4, hey, C24, how many of these you have? 10. Hey, if my opinion, hey, Plant, if Jerome Brown doesn't die, I don't think Reggie leaves Philly. Okay? JM, I didn't say it. I was on a Pro Bowl ballot. What do you want from me? Okay? What do you want from me? Let's see here. Did MJ perform on the last Cowboys Super Bowl? MJ who? Did MJ perform on the last Cowboys Super Bowl? Are you talking about Michael Jackson? I don't know. If I don't know. So once again, circling back. Sure, it's pretty good. We'll see what happens. We will. This guy tries his best to sell us negativity. All his takes are projections. They're not projections. I'm not a fortune teller. You're the ones with predictions. I'm not telling you your coordinator's right. I'm telling you what you are today until you prove it. That's not fortune telling, guy. You're the fortune teller. Can you get Lisa Anna? She does sports now. I don't talk like that. You're the ones that telling me Barkley's going to have this breakout year. I want to see it. Never lived up to the second overall pick in the draft. Has anybody? Well, it's New York. Okay, well, let's find out and validate it. You guys are so afraid of validating anything that team has to prove that why that meltdown happened. Was it in a was that meltdown a product of just a moment in the franchise, or was it something to come? Because you've had a meltdown before. You won a Super Bowl, and 3 years later, you won 4 games. You won 4 games 3 years later. How'd that happen? Hey, your Super Bowl window was no years in 17. Is that right? Your Super Bowl window was no years. Now that you look back on that 17 team, do you realize that? You had no Super Bowl window. It was just a one-off. You have a window now, I think, but you refuse to make it a window that stays open long. You know why? 27 free agents next year and 25. Notably, a ton of them on defense. All your linebacking core is gone. Not that they're anything to write home about. Both your corners are gone. Your edge rusher is here 3 years. Okay. Swift. I love to. Well, Swift. Playing with Clyde and Reggie and Jerome and Seth. I'd have been. You get this. I took the Cowboys and they gave me $38,000. 87. That was a nice sign. Wasn't crazy. They gave me almost 40 grand, and plus they gave me like roster incentives. I was on the roster in 87, the Cowboys' last 4 games of the year. Not the roster. I was on the team, but not active. The last 4 games, they signed me in November. And I got paid that. So, for that whole thing, that whole year, they gave me 120 grand. And I had been paid by the Buccaneers that year. So I made like 200 grand that year in 87. It was a pretty good season. So then the following year, then I got hurt and sick. Let's see here. 5 years later, we will be back at the Super Bowl. 5 years later, is Jalen Hurts going to be your starting quarterback? All right. Let's have a little fun here. Since some of you think, and again, I don't think this is a poor comment. It was a question. Do you think having 2 primary targets benefits quarterbacks, and especially a quarterback that can't read defenses? Do you think these 2 guys are helping him? Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. When he can't read a defense and their primary target. So as a coordinator, I know where he's going. That's not his skill set. That's why I tell you about go back to 22. You go back to 22, it's a whole different conversation here. Hey, William, 200 grand? That's 1987 money. Figure out with inflation what that would be 2024. Sills, who do you draft, Allen or Burrow? Probably Allen. Probably Allen. Who's better in the pocket? Probably Burrow. Got to be in the pocket, though, dude. You can't be Joe Namath Burrow. You can't look like Joe Namath. Joe Namath's missing games, missing seasons. You got to fix that. He's a really good player. Hey, a healthy Joe Burrow? Taking Joe. Joe Burrow as of today? I would take Allen. He's more reliable. That guy don't miss games because he's 6'5.5". That's why. Okay? I believe 2 is better than 1. You do? Well, that doesn't. Hey, let me ask you this, Daniel. So you think the Miami Dolphins are going to Super Bowl? They got 2,000-yard receivers 2 years in a row. You think they're going somewhere? Give me a break. Give me a break. Okay? Burrow's better. Stop it. Burrow's better? How is Burrow better when he misses the games that he's missed? Hey, get this. That's a person that says Burrow's better when he plays 4 games last year than Josh Allen. How's he better? Sitting on the bench or sitting in a rehab. Wow, how is that better? Availability is part of the evaluation. Bo Jackson is the greatest running back I've ever seen. Talent-wise, I've never seen a running back better than Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson played 3 years or 2 years. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Okay? 22, blitz didn't get him. Now they need multiple ways to beat the blitz. Otherwise, Jalen is on his way out next year. Hey, Jalen, the reason why the blitz was a factor, he was in the pocket more. In 22, he was a read option guy. And once again, we're talking about 2 different Jalen Hurtses here now. Two different. Okay? DFW, Jackson was the most naturally gifted athlete to ever walk this earth. Freaking nature. Unbelievable. And you want to hear something, DFW? We played him in a bowl game, one of the very first kickoff classics. We played Auburn. We held them to 17 yards. I don't know how they had nothing on that Auburn team. And we held them to 17 yards. I remember him in the pros. Let me tell you something. I've never seen a guy that fast move that fast. And then I played against him my freshman year when I was at Maryland. He gained like 200 yards. And we were 5th in the country then at the time. And we had a pretty good defense. And I never seen anything like it. He is the most gifted player. Look, Deion's a great athlete. Bo's better. Bo's the most gifted athlete I've ever seen. Sills, defenses are going to blitz Hurts again. They're going to start the season doing that. Do you really believe Moore is going to figure out a way to stop the blitzes in 2024? You know what I would do, Senor? Do you know what I would do if I were Kellen Moore? I would put a little bit of Aaron Rodgers in that offense. Why not roll him? Can he throw in the run? Can he throw the ball rolling? You know what I mean? Sills, how was Bill Goldberg? Did you play against him? Yeah, Bill was at the Sacramento Surge in the World League, and he played defensive tackle. And I was with the Orlando Thunder, and we played in the World Bowl up in Montreal. And Bill played a little bit for the Rams, and he played on the Sacramento Surge in the World League. And we became friends, actually, up in Montreal. That's how I met him, was that he played up at he played in the World League, came over from the Rams. I was with the Lions. The Lions had my property rights, and he was with the Rams. So, yeah, that's how I met Bill Goldberg. Bill wasn't in wrestling yet. He was still trying to figure it out, and he played for the Sacramento Surge. Sills, who is your top 5 running backs in the league right now? I'm going to get to my top 25 Eagles here in a second. 1, 2, 3. You said 5? Yeah. I would say Christian McCaffrey, Henry, Josh Jacobs. Joe Mixon. Then probably Barkley. You could argue Kamara, but, he had a freaky year last year. How about this one? Well, then again, I don't think Barkley's better than Bijan Robinson. So I don't know. I mean, he's not better than Bijan. Sills, wasn't Kevin Green on that Auburn team? He was. Kevin Green was a great player. Yeah. I am Ruiz. So I am Ruiz. You think that Saquon Barkley's a better back than Bijan Robinson? Let's take a look at that. How many people think the Atlanta Falcons sucked last year? Ruiz goes no way. Okay. Let's take a look at that. Okay, here's Bijan last year in 2023. Bijan, what's that? I'll take over Saquon. Absolutely, you do. Do you? So how many wins did the Falcons have last year? Let's see here. Last year, Bijan Robinson started 16 ball games, played in 17 games, had 976 yards rushing, 214 carries, and 4 touchdowns. He had almost 60 catches, 58 catches for 487 yards and 4 touchdowns, with 1463 and 8 total touchdowns. You think that guy was better than Bijan Robinson? Where? He was just on a poor team, same as Barkley was. And this guy was a rookie. Where do you come up with I mean, they both played on shitty teams a year ago. What are you talking about? Robinson blew the guy away. Almost had 1,500 yards in total offense, and he had 60 catches. Where is he better? He didn't have a better year last year, and he was on the same crappy-ass team. Where in the world do you come up with that? I'm speaking facts here again. Here's facts again. Where in the world are you coming up with what's his name was better last year? He was on a poor team. So was Bijan Robinson. I can't even tell you who the quarterbacks were. Who was the guy? Desmond Ridder? Okay. Desmond Ridder? Okay. And by the way, who would you take to build your team around right now? Barkley or him? I told you this too. You guys forget. I told you there was a guy in the sandbox that you take. And you know who it was? He was one of them. Robinson. You took Jalen Carter. I'm okay with that. Bijan Robinson is a great football player. And I told you he was going to be one. I said, that guy's special. Remember I said that? I said the Eagles should. Remember I was making a play and I wanted the Eagles to draft him. How would you like to have Robinson on your football team on a rookie deal instead of paying 10, and you could have turned around and gave that money to Xavier McKinney in your secondary? Or you could have gave it to Patrick Quinn at linebacker. Some of that money. I mean, there lies a miss. You make it sound like Barkley's. You're not building your team around Saquon Barkley. You're building your team around Bijan Robinson. I flat out told you. Can you imagine Bijan Robinson running behind? Wait a minute. Let's do this one. The Eagle D-line was trash anyway at the end of the year. Senor. So wait a minute. Let me get this right. Bijan Robinson played in 16 ball games last year. So let's use some. Hey, Bijan Robinson played behind the Atlanta Falcons' absolutely horrible O-line. Like Barkley played behind the awful, awful O-line in New York. What if Robinson had played behind a year ago? Remember I told you? If that guy plays behind that Philadelphia Eagle O-line, he'll lead the NFL in rushing. What do you think he would have ran for if he played behind that Eagle O-line last year? He ran for 976 and only 200 carries in Atlanta. He'd had 1,500 yards. He led the league in rushing. And he had 60 catches. Then again, the quarterback couldn't find him. Desmond Ridder found him. Desmond Ridder found him for 500 yards almost. Atlanta won 7 games. In the NFC South. Woo! Oh, I forgot. That's right. You got blown out by the champions of the NFC South in the playoffs. Oh, Atlanta has a great O-line now. I bet they do. Bijan had 1,463 in total offensive yards last year as a rookie. As a rookie. Absolutely true. Guys, open your face. You better come with some receipts here, man. Trouble is, we don't give the running backs enough chances. Well, what are you talking about? The last 2 years, your guys have averaged 1,200 yards rushing. Less yards than Barkley's rookie year. The Giants were better back then. Okay, hey, Senor, you're right. You build your team around. No, you're right. Barkley's better than Robinson right now. Guy who had almost 60 catches. Okay. Whatever, guy. Has had 2 knee injuries in the last 4 years. You're right. We'll see. We are going to do our top 25. Actually, I think I did 20. 23. Actually, I think I did my top 23 Eagles. So we're going to do that. Sills, do you know that the Lions have 3 first rounders on their O-line? Eagles only have 1. Yeah, they do a great job of that. Kyle, I'll make this point to you as well. Most of those picks are all because of the Stafford deal. Look at all the deals that they've done. Okay? Look at this. I am Ruiz, a rookie over Barkley. Okay. I'll take the young kid who's got fresher legs than the guy who's an old dude who's had 2 knee surgeries in 4 years. Hey, dude, all good. Ruiz, you take the banged up, high-treaded running back. I'll take the new guy. No problem. No problem. I never said Bijan was better than Carter. I never said that. Absolute bull-faced lie. I said I'm okay with them taking Carter at 9. I have no problem with that. Carter's a good ball player. But Robinson right now is an offensive weapon. Like I said he was going to be. And by the way, who proved more last year? Bijan Robinson or Jalen Carter? Bijan Robinson did. He proved that he's effective in the passing game and can run the ball. Jalen Carter ran out of gas. Normal. Robinson didn't. Started 16 games and was effective. Okay, I said that Bijan was better. I said he had a better year. Falcons drafted before the Eagles. Eagles had no chance at Bijan. They moved up to 9, did they not? They couldn't have moved up one more spot, 2 more spots? Let me see. Was he picked 5th? I forget. Was he picked 5th? So will you take Robinson over McCaffrey? No. McCaffrey had an iconic year last year, was in the MVP voting. Absolutely not. So you take Robinson over McCaffrey? No, I take him over Barkley. He's a better ball player. McCaffrey's a better ball player. Where are you coming up with Barkley is in the same? What, you're not comparing Barkley to McCaffrey, are you? This guy early in his career, Bijan was drafted 8th. They could have moved up one more spot. They wanted him. But I'm okay with Carter. You get this. Hey, Niner all day. Here's a guy in Carolina that had 2 years of over 100 catches and 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing, something that guy never did in his career. And you're trying to tell me that you think, dude, I told you yesterday, Dalvin Cook has had a better career than Barkley. Health is going to be the issue. By the way, he's never lived up to the 2nd overall pick. Yes, so you can never have this type of offensive line. Okay, we'll find out how good he is. I don't believe he plays, but 12 games this year. Just me. No, I just don't. We almost had McCaffrey. They did. Charlie, that was one of the reasons why I believe, get this, you basically a year later got the guy that kind of resembles the things that McCaffrey does. But your quarterback's not going to throw him. Like I heard Xander talking this morning. You're not going to throw him the ball. You're not going to throw him the ball. That's not what they do with that offense. They're not going to. No, I'm going to do it here right now, Xander, because then we're going to do our top 25. We're going to do our top 25 picks here. Guys, do me a favor. By the way, bottom of the hour, our friend Jason Cole is going to join us. So hit the like button. We're going to do we're going to rank our top 25 Philadelphia Eagles. Do you agree or do you not agree? Hit that like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sil's National Football Show. Please hit the like button. We talked a little bit yesterday about free agents that were still out there in the open market. Tennessee just signed Jamal Adams this morning. So again, I mean, I don't know what he has left in the tank, but we shall see. I don't. Well, one thing before we get to, I want to throw out there the quarterbacks that I really enjoy, just so you get a sense of what kind of quarterbacks I enjoy watching on Sundays. Okay. But I got to make a comment here on Bronny Manning, the backup quarterback for the Texas Longhorns. You got to love this, man. Hey, and by the way, more power to the families that can do this stuff. And when you got a guy like Bronny Manning backing up the quarterback there in Texas, and you got a guy making $4 million on nil, and the only reason he stays at Texas is because of his nil and because of the amount of money he's making, okay, not a problem. If that were me, though, I'm not backing up anybody. I'm going to try to get to the NFL as fast as I possibly can. And I'm going to go somewhere and I'm going to transfer and I'm going to, hey, you know, I really give him a lot of credit for just sticking it out. Fuck that. I'm going to go play. I'm not sitting behind somebody. If I can't beat out Quinn Ewers, I can't win in the NFL. Quinn Ewers is a bum. If I can't beat that guy out, then guess what? I'm not winning in the NFL. Quinn Ewers, who on the planet thinks that guy's a pro-type quarterback? I mean, give me a break. And so Bronny Manning is going to sit behind this guy, collect his money. Just got paid $70,000 from EA Sports. Hey, again, more power to the kid. Good for his. Hey, good that name brings that kind of power to you. You see LeBron James's kid, Phony James, last night? That kid, he didn't score any points, and he stinks. And I got to hey, the more they play him, it's like putting Biden in a press conference. Please don't do it. Just please. Because it's not helpful. It's not helpful. You're not helping the kid. Okay? You're not helping him. Holy cow. You got Phony James with the Lakers, and now you got Bronny Manning with the oh, man. Okay? Unbelievable, man. Bronny Manning. Backing up Quinn Ewers. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Hey, good for the kids. Dude, I tell you what, when you're some of these guys now, and then like I started the show off with Shador Sanders. Yeah. We're everybody's Super Bowl. You won 4 games last year, son. Do you actually know who you are? You have a roadkill program. Like, let me put it to you this way. If Shador Sanders was in the Southeastern Conference, Vanderbilt would look like Georgia to them. It would look like Georgia. We're everybody's Super Bowl. You won 4 games, kid. Hey, that was awful nice of you, man. Really, that was really great of you to let 8 teams beat the shit out of you last year and have them have their Super Bowl by beating you. I'm sure they were all thrilled to death, and I'm sure they wrote that in their diaries. We beat the Super Bowl champion Colorado Buffaloes. Come on, man. Some of these kids, man. Hey, see, when you grow up on third base, and, you know, some of them grow up on third base rounding third. They just think that things are that easy to you. When the fathers and everyone else had to put in all the hard work, the sweating, and, you know, those were the guys that did it. By the way, I give it to the Mannings. They raised some really great kids. Eli and Peyton Manning has superseded everything their father did. And their father was an MVP. Yeah, Yale says that he says that Archie wasn't that good. Well, he was on the Saints, and he did win the MVP award. Okay? He did win the MVP. No, I don't I don't begrudge the kids. Yale, it's just the way they talk. You know, give it to Bronny, though. He's not doing anything wrong. He's just trying to chase a dream. So I give him a little bit more credit. And then when you turn around and you look at Caitlin Clark, who's filling up a stat line, and everyone hates her because she's a white chick, it just doesn't make sense. You hate her because she's white? You should be selling that. She should be on the Olympic team. Or are you going to take off? Who cares? Who cares? Sills, you know, this is a white-black thing. Great. Sell it. Have you not been plugged in to our society lately? The race business is a very lucrative business. CNN and Fox News make a killing off it. What's wrong with players and leagues making money off it? Are you under a rock? Sills, you're not supposed to be talking like this. What, reality? The news networks make hundreds of millions of dollars selling race every day. And you buy it and you gobble it up like crack. What are you talking about? It's one of the greatest profitable industries of today. Well, it's not morally right. Who gives a shit? They don't. Their stockholders don't. Wow. Hey, Do Gooder U has been closed for how long? 20 years? Do Gooder U, okay, has been closed for a bit. Right? Jack goes, Jack, I'm not repeating that, but I appreciate the super chat, but come on, man. Hey, Jack, that not going there. Not going there. Archie Manning interview about Ken Stabler was great. Take Archie said about Kenny. He could play. And he said Snake was tough as nails. I loved Kenny the Snake Stabler. He was absolutely a great Raider. Played in Houston. They were both teammates in Houston. I think that's what you're talking about. If Seals grew up in Hell's Kitchen without access to the best athletic programs in Connecticut, where would he be? Hey, JM, I grew up, my mother put me in an orphanage when I was a young kid, and I lived on a cot for about 3 years. Why do you think my aunt cried her ass off with my grandfather finding me in churches and moving around? So don't fucking talk to me going up easy. You have no idea how I grew up. Are you crazy, guy? I used to be put in homes and I used to be put in churches for the first 4 years of my life like that because my mother was put in there because she wasn't home. So don't talk to me about that guy. You have no idea how I lived. I was raised by my grandparents and my aunt. You have no idea what I did and how I lived. I'd be sitting there at a church looking out crying because I had no family around because they hid me from my folks, my aunt and my grandfather and grandmother. They hid me. And there was my grandfather with a Dairy Queen, strawberry shake, and a peach. My grandpa used to give me coins because I'd have to bury him in the church yard because kids would try to take the money from me. What do you know about me? Sleeping on a blue cot next to 25 other kids. I don't talk about that a lot because I've had the greatest life on the planet. I have. But it didn't start out great. Would you think I was from some silver spoon? But that formed my character. My grandpa always found me. He always found me. I don't know how he found me. And I hope my aunt's not crying. I really do. She says, you think Bronny getting coverage, wait till Arch gets into Texas, ESPN, will be Tebow too. Probably. Sean, probably. Thank you for the super chat. Flexing goes, Sil's having a moment. No. Once again, we're having a conversation, and that's what my show has always been about. I don't hide from Howard Eskin. I don't hide from my past, my present, my failures, the successes, my family. Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing here? No moment. It's who I am. I would never want to be anybody else but me. I've never wanted to be anyone else but me. Ever. So to dump on somebody else benefited from the same stuff is hypocritical. No. What are you talking about? I dump on homeless. I dump on a kid that came from a poor background. Where? I'm talking about the kid's attitude. I'm talking about thinking that he's the Super Bowl people. He's not. That's not reality. Bro, you have no idea what you're talking about. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. James, right, James? Seals, most of these trolls are talking shit right now. Oh, no, they're pulling it on me. Is that what's going on? Jason Cole, by the way, will be at the bottom of the hour. Okay? I know more than you'd be comfortable. Yeah, I'm sure you do, guy. Yeah, really? I doubt it. I doubt it that you know anything about my background and where I came from. I seriously doubt it. Take the deuce and flush it. Is that a Yale? Is that a Jalen Hurts? Hey, is that a Jalen Hurts line? I may have to adapt that. I may have to actually adopt that there, man. Right? Oh, right. There's where I heard it. Okay, fair enough, dude. Fair enough there. Okay, let's move on here. Okay, I'm going to do something here. And You tell me if you agree with this. Some of you may not agree. I didn't do the top 25. I'm going to do the top. Let's see, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. I'll put these guys to the side. And we'll put an asterisk around their names. So I'm going to say this here. Here are my top 25 Philadelphia Eagles on July 11th. So you tell me, you want me to go from 1 down or 23 up? Where do you want me to go? 23 up or 1 down to 23? 1 to 23. 23 up. Wait. 23 up. Okay. Damn. Hang on. Trying to get a consensus. Up. Maybe I should leave it to Xander. See here. I want to go. I'm gonna go. All right, let's go 1 down then. I wanted to go the other way, but we'll go this way here. Shut up, senor. Can always count on you to have the absolutely worst troll of all time. Oh, absolutely. Okay, here we go. My number 1 Philadelphia Eagle for the 2024 season is A.J. Brown. I got A.J. Brown number 1. As much as that pains me with A.J. Owens, I got A.J. Brown number 1. Are we in agreement with that? A.J.'s number 1 on the team. If you had to make a move, he's the guy. My number 2 Philadelphia Eagle on the Big Sills, Big 22. Well, plus some. Is Jordan Mailata. It's my number 2. The Big Sills top 22. Number 3. I got Lane Johnson. The Big Sills top 22 Philadelphia Eagles for 2024. Number 4. I got Landon Dickerson. Number 5 on the Big Sills top 24 Philadelphia Eagles. I've got Devontae Smith. Number 6 on the Big Sills top 22 Eagles. I got Jalen Hurts. Number 7, I've got Jalen Carter. Number 8, I have Saquon Barkley. Number 9, this might be too high. I got Dallas Goedert. Number 10, on the Big Sills top 22, I got Jordan Davis. Number 11 on the Big Sills Top 22, Philadelphia Eagles, 2024. I got Cam Jurgens. Number 12, I've got Milton Williams. Number 13, on the Big Sills Top 22, Philadelphia Eagles, I got Bryce Huff. Number 14, I've got Josh Sweat. How can you say Gardner Johnson will show the fire 22 and he missed all of 23? Number 15 is Darius Slay. Number 16 on the Big Sills Top 22, I got CJ Gardner Johnson. Number 17, I've got Reed Blankenship. Number 18, I've got Tyler Steen. Number 19, wide receiver 3, Paris Campbell. Number 20 on the Big Sills Top 22, Philadelphia Eagles, I've got Devin White. Number 21 on the Big Sills Top 22, going off the starting roster, I'm going, I guess, Nakobe Dean. Number 22, the Big Sills Top 22, plus some. Edge rusher, Nolan Smith at 22. At number 23, I've got Quinyon Mitchell. Now, the reason why they're ranked so low, they've never played. So you can't have a ranking if you haven't played. I mean, it's projection then. I'm going to get to Ringo here in a minute. So here, I've given you this. Mitchell 23, Nolan Smith 22, Kobe Dean 21, Devin White 20, Paris Campbell 19, Tyler Steen 18, Reed Blankenship 17, Gardner Johnson 16, Slay 15, Josh Sweat 14, Bryce Huff 13, Milton Williams 12, Cam Jurgens 11, Jordan Davis 10, Goddard 9, Barkley 8, Jalen Carter 7, Jalen Hurts 6, Devontae Smith 5, Dickerson 4, Lane 3, Mulata 2, and A.J. Brown 1. Yelko's educated guess. Well, I'm going by who you are today. And you're an unknown right now. Now, here. Where would you put Becton? With an asterisk on this list. 15? Put him 15? Be all right with that? Where would I put Isaiah Rodgers? $17? Where would I put Keely Ringo? Limited play. We'll see. $18? Cooper DeJean. Well, if Mitchell gets 23, he gets 23. Can those guys skyrocket up? Absolutely. Absolutely, they can. You know, again, hard to sit here and talk about a guy who's never played. NFL down. Okay. Jake Elliott, who's that? Huh. How are you going to grade cats that don't start at 15? I think he could start. That's why I said put an asterisk next to him. Like, do I believe that Tyler Steen's a better player than Becton? I don't. He could start there. Keep this list and see how the market trends. We'll see how they play. I'm assuming that's what you mean. Where would you put the Eagles at in the NFC? NVM about all these individual stats. This is a team game. So where are you at with them? Well, you got an all-pro offense and you got a suspect defense. So it kind of equals itself out. That's why you're around 500. Your defense will be challenged in every ball game you play this coming year. You're not elite against any opponent you play. Every offense will be better than your defense. Packer offense will be better than your defense. Shit, the Falcon offense will be better than your defense. Who's covering Pitts and Bijan and Cousins? This is the worst defense you've had in 3 years. Or how about this? I'll take it back. The least accomplished. Saints are probably equal there. The Bucs showed you that they have more offense than you have on defense. You don't have a better defense than the Browns have a better offense. You probably have a better defense than the Giants have offensively. The Bengals by far have a better offense than your defense. The Jags have a better offense than your defense. The Cowboys have a better offense than your defense. The Commanders, depending on the quarterback, we'll see. That'll be close. The Rams have a better offense than your defense. Baltimore by far is better than your defense. You have a better defense than the Panthers offense, I would say. Steelers, I don't think the Steelers have any offense outside of Najee Harris. And the kid Pickens, too. He's not horrible. Washington, Dallas, the Giants. But you won't have a better defense than the majority. I'd say this. 85% of the teams you play offensively, you're not going to be in the same room with them defensively. So you'll be challenged in every ball game you play. Offensively, you're going to be the other way around. That's why you're top heavy as a team and you have an unbalanced roster. That's been my contention. Now, to the point, Sills, the NFC itself. Do you think there's a lot of high-powered teams? No, I don't. But you're playing the AFC North. You're not playing the AFC East this year. Every one of those football teams that you're playing in the North can make the playoffs. I mean, it's a pretty good conference. It's the best conference in football. So, you think the Niners defense will be the same without Wilkes? Probably. I don't know when Greenlaw comes back. I asked you about who has a better team. Don't give me the defense narrative. Well, you have to. Who has a better team? Okay. So they have deficiencies on defense, but does the offense supersede many of those deficiencies? Especially in the NFC. I mean, how many teams in the NFC are good? Rams, Packers, Niners, Lions. And then the rest of them, you could throw them in a hat. Right? I mean, I look at the NFC and go like this. Lions. And I don't really even think the Cowboys, but okay. Lions, Cowboys, Niners, Rams, Packers. Then the rest of them, you can have a conversation about it. You know? Chase Young was average until the Super Bowl where he balled out. Well, probably, hey, Sydney, that's probably what took him all that time to rehab back from that knee because he wasn't right. Hopefully we're going to catch up with our friend Jason Cole and get Jason's conversation here today. We look forward to it, as we always do. We'll go around the NFL with him a little bit, too, and ask him about the NFC. Bro, it's simple. Where do you rank the Eagles as a team in the NFC? Well, okay, simple. You want to go that way? 49ers. I'm going to go with the quarterbacks, too. 49ers, Lions, Packers, 49ers, Lions, Packers. Probably Eagles here 4. Rams. Those would be your 5 teams. Rams, Eagles, Packers, Lions, 49ers. Then the rest of the NFC is kind of whatever. Okay? Sydney says Sills hates the unknown. I do. Especially when you're talking about building a football team. You're trying to eliminate as many unknowns. It's okay to have a few. Like you know what? Everyone's always doing this. Well, look at what Kansas City did with their young players. That they threw their young players out. Well, what did they have as a fail-safe in that conversation? You had Steve Spagnuolo, who was evaluating, and Brett Veach and Andy Reid, who were evaluating that side of the ball. And you had, of course, Mahomes. And you guys told me, you know what's funny? The last couple drafts I've told you to draft, I told you to draft Trent McDuffie. You hated him. I said he's going to be a game-changing all-pro. And he is. He's the future of that defense. You said he was too short. You didn't like him. He was number 1 on my list when he came out. You guys said absolutely no way. And I'm like, well, I think he's a ball player. And I don't really like a lot of guys back then out of the Pac-12. I'm not a real big Pac-12 guy. Okay, I'm not. Just let me see if I can text Jason here, see where he is. Hopefully he jumps aboard with us here. So I think when you have great coaching like that, the one thing that Kansas City does that you guys don't do, they're not moving coaches around. Their coordinator's going to stay intact, both sides of the ball. Got a quarterback, obviously, who's a generational guy, which is kudos to them because everyone wanted Deshaun Watson or someone else. They never thought Mahomes was going to be the guy. And they've landed on guys that they know that can play. And they moved off of guys because the quarterback affords them that ability. Packers, Ravens in the Super Bowl? Could be. That'd be nice. Who's 3-4? I told you, Packers, Lions, and 49ers. You don't have a better quarterback than those three teams. Nor do you have a better overall roster. You keep thinking you do. Your defense has more question marks than the election this year. Watson's a bum compared to Mahomes. Well, that's not what they thought coming out of college. I like short players that are tough, like Devontae and Tank Dell. I like Tank Dell a lot. Okay? Teams want to get some Andy shine. Dude, to tell you, once again, Yale, to me, made mistakes trade Snead. So wait a minute here. Let's take a look at that, Joseph. So they've traded Honey Badger in the last 4 years. They've traded Orlando Brown, Honey Badger, Tyreek Hill, and now Snead. And they're going for their third straight Super Bowl. Yeah, okay. And you think they've made a mistake. Well, let's see if that mistake, because again, even if they have this year, they're back-to-back champions. So 1 year for Love, wait a minute. But Jalen is shit after 1 year. No. You gave Jalen Hurts a $50 million contract after 1 year. I'm using and applying your metric. I'm applying your metric, Fly Eagle fanatic. He's not paid over a period of time for what he's accomplished. He had 1 year in 22, and they paid him for it. Jordan Love, doesn't he get that same ability, or Brock Purdy? Why does that metric only work in Philly? I'm using your metric. Isn't that your metric? Right? This is easily going to be one of the most entertaining seasons. You know, before I get my friend Jason Cole on here, I asked him a question about that payout of the NFL ticket. And I heard Andrew Brandt talking about it and how it's going to eventually affect the National Football League. But again, and I think Jason's right, because the NFL will just pass that down to the consumer. They're really not going to pass that down to themselves. They're going to collect $405 million. But let's catch up with our Hall of Fame guy and go through, as we're like 12 days out. How about this? We're 6 days out from the Jets reporting to training camp. Jason Cole, NFL Hall of Fame voter, joins us now. Jace, can you believe that? We're 6 days out from camp.
No, I can't really believe that, although I should know by the heat of July that it's time for training camp and for players to go bake in the sun for a while. You know, it's like, you know how you get that feeling in September where there's just like a little nip in the air and you're like, oh, it's time for football. No, it's that time when you know that guys are going to be cramping up and losing 12 pounds a day and having to run gassers in 90-degree heat in the humidity. This is really football season.
Absolutely. Jace, let me revisit something before I ask you some questions about the upcoming season here. Do you still believe that that's not going to have an economic impact on the cap, the way teams do business, because now Roger Goodell came out and said that they're going to fight it because they think it's absolutely ridiculous that they're going to have to pay as much money out. And it's funny that the NFL would throw out, we were making $400,000 now per team. It's kind of funny how they're kind of like balancing what our net revenue is and what we have to pay out now. I thought that was kind of interesting. Andrew Brandt thinks that this may end up affecting how teams do business, or maybe some teams Do you think that that's still, or do you believe that this will be passed on to consumer?
Well, I mean, eventually all things get passed on to the consumer in the NFL, any profitable business, because they know they can pass off that cost somewhere along the line. I don't know how it's going to play out because this is such a complicated legal question. And the judgment, you can argue that the judgment is excessive for the cost to the consumer at the time. Like, the DirecTV, NFL ticket package wasn't around long enough to justify that kind of action. So there's going to be a lot of courtroom, I don't want to call it machinations is the best word. You just got a lot of work through the courts to go through with stuff that only really lawyers understand before we finally find out. And it's probably going to be, as Roger talked about today, years from now, before we get a real decision on what the final number is. And maybe the final number is closer to $1.5 billion or $2 billion that then gets trebled and then gets paid off over a 3 or 4 year period of time. And ultimately, the NFL doesn't feel the impact nearly as much as we thought they were going to feel. But for right now, I think that this judgment sends a warning shot across the bow at the NFL, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like telling the NFL, look, watch how you do business. Don't be so obvious in the way that you control prices. Don't be so obvious in the way that you undermine competition for your product. Because if you do, we're going to give you this kind of a judgment against you, and you're going to have to fight and fight and fight and go through the courts and get scared about this. But the ultimate cost is a lot less, if that makes sense.
Jason, let me ask you some of the questions going into the season here now as we get ready for training camp here. Dak Prescott, do you think he is the most overcovered? And I mean by negatively wise, when I looked at the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks in the league, do you know there's only 2 quarterbacks with a post 500 record? That's Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, which is stupid at 15-3. I can't believe it. The rest of them all have under 500 records. Dak is 2-5. Is he over-criticized in your opinion, or is it just because Jerry puts a bigger bullseye on him because it is the Dallas Cowboys? But I mean, if you look, Dan Marino 7-9 in the postseason. It's not that easy to win in the NFL postseason. Why does Dak get more of the heat for him? Not what's his name? Lamar Jackson's 2-4. I mean, it's
the cow, dude. You know what it is. You know, Jerry. You were there. You know what the deal is. I mean, it's the Cowboys. That's it. It's the team that America loves to either love, in some cases, or loves to hate. They're the Yankees. They're the Yankees of the NFL, right? And if you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, this is what comes with the job. And either you stay there and you take the money, and the money is good, and you live through it, or you opt for free agency and you walk away from it and you go to some other place. But, this is because Cowboys fans are not logical. And worse, they have an owner who knows how to play them. Like, Jerry just laughs about all this drama because it's like he told a story about how when he was thinking about places to invest, when he was getting out of the oil business, he went to meet with some TV exec, and the TV exec said, "Oh yeah, football's great." He goes, "Because it's like soap operas. You have a ready-made audience." Okay, football's soap opera for men, primarily. Women have soap operas during the day. They watch those things, and now it's become a Hallmark channel right at night. Okay, you just have an audience that's going to watch, and there are certain teams that they want to watch most, and Jerry knows how to play to it. Jerry doesn't even have to win. Jerry just has to be competitive or give the illusion of competition. But he loves the drama.
Oh, there's no question about it. Let me get into some of these questions now. I looked this stat up. I couldn't believe what. And you were a former MVP voter. You're obviously a Hall of Fame voter. And I want to throw something at you here with Lamar Jackson's year a year ago. Do you know that there's not one wide receiver on that team with over 900 yards? There's not one running back with over 800 yards. They lost the tight end in week 10. And yet they won 14 ball games. And he won his second most valuable player by the age of 26. I have never seen a stat line on a football team and a guy carry a team on his back. Now, the guy in Kansas City, obviously, he carries it across the finish line. And now they bring in Derrick Henry to get him some help. But I didn't realize he didn't have a 1,000-yard running back, a 1,000-yard receiver. The next guy was Odell Beckham at 500 yards receiving. That has to go down as one of the greatest years of all time for a quarterback. 14 wins, home field AFC, and you lost in the AFC title game at home. I mean, do you see him repeating that and this time taking it all the way to the Super Bowl?
No, because I thought he was the best in what was kind of a weak year. Okay, so like Josh Allen, if you were to look at stats, Josh Allen has some numbers that just blow people away, right?
Yep.
The problem that Josh Allen had when I watched is he also had way too many turnovers that put his team in bad positions, cost him critical games. And that's part of, Buffalo asks a lot of Josh Allen, but he also tries to do too much. I thought that Lamar Jackson had this perfect balance year of, okay, I know what my defense is capable of, so I'm going to limit the turnovers. I'm going to limit the mistakes. I'm going to play smart football and just execute, get us to the 14 wins that we got, get us to the seed that we had, and put us in position to be, possibly make that Super Bowl run if other teams make critical errors. Unfortunately, it was Baltimore that made the critical errors, the fumble at the goal line, right? The missed pass on two different third downs. Lamar Jackson played about as well as he can possibly play in this incarnation. His rookie, or I shouldn't say rookie, but his second year in the league, nobody understood how to play against him. They now understand how to play against him. He's improved what he does, but you and I both know, he's never going to be Mahomes as a passer. He's never going to be Josh Allen as a passer. That's not his game. And that means that the players around him are not going to put up 1,400 yards, either receiving or rushing. It's just not the way that Baltimore is built to play. But there is a time and place where Lamar Jackson can be an MVP. Last year was one of the sweet spots. My question is there ever a chance where he takes them over the finish line, depending on how the league plays out in a given year?
Let's go to the other guy that plays like him, and that's Jalen Hurts. Obviously, we covered the Eagles, as you know. You've had the first year starting in 21. You had the great year in 22. You had the step back year in 23. As a guy who covers this league, and really, do you look at this year is going to tell you more about Jalen Hurts, or are you comfortable saying that he's still, in your eyes, one of the top 10 guys or top 12 guys that's in the sport right now? Or is this going to tell you a little more? This is his fourth coordinator, too, by the way, in 3 years starting, going into his fourth year now. You had a bunch of coordinators in there. It's a new terminology scenario. How do you look at his year? Because I tell you, Jace, he's got a lot of talent around him.
Yeah, look, this is a guy who should be putting up huge numbers.
And he's not.
He's not. He's took a huge step back last year. And I think he's going to take another step back because you're going to take away the tush-push, Philly shove, whatever they call that stupid play. That's essentially gone now, right? Because I don't know that you're going to have a center who's able to do the things that Kelsey did to make that work. I mean, maybe they'll try, but it's harder to execute that on a consistent basis. And yes, I think the Eagles have done him a disservice by not putting a premium on keeping an offensive coordinator and keeping the system the same around him. That Tom Brady had a great interview about a month ago where he talked about over time working with people and knowing what they say, how they adjust to you, knowing what you can do during games, and feeling comfortable with people. And that takes years to develop. And how much he appreciated that coming out of New England, and how much he realized how important it was, whether he was with Charlie Weiss for years and years or with Josh McDaniels for years and years, right? He had a constant and consistent voice along with what Belichick was telling him to do. And I don't think Jalen's had that, and that's a real disservice. I think it's holding him back, because here's a guy who went through a lot of systems in the same at Alabama and at Oklahoma in college. He did the same kind of thing until he finally got to a guy like Daboll who could help make the most out of him, right? At the college level, really try. And even Daboll had some problems in the end, and they had to switch to Tua. So to me, I think the Eagles have unfortunately misread this situation, and they need to get that guy in his ear who can talk to him consistently to get the most out of him.
2 last questions for you. This may come off crazy. And I know crazy because you talked to me. Well, let me say this to you here. Is it possible that when you have 2 primary targets like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, or one of these high-paid wide receivers, you become a primary target, and that does a disservice to the development of your quarterback on spreading the ball around? When you look at how Mahomes has been developed without Tyreek Hill, you go into that game as a coordinator, Jason, you don't know who's going to get the football. You got rid of Devontae Adams, and people will try to tell me that, well, look at Green Bay. They're better. You have no idea. It helps the progression of the quarterback if he can read defenses. Look at Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has one 1,000-yard receiver. There's a ton of talent, but what's the one thing that Kyle does? Kyle gets him to spread the ball around, and that helps his development as a quarterback because he sees the field more. Brock Purdy sees the field from the pocket way better than Hurts because of the 2 primary targets. Do you agree when you have these big-time wideouts don't deliver Super Bowls? Would you rather have a quarterback who's more of a guy who is a progression reader and understands not having primary targets and spreads the ball around? Or would you rather have Dak and CeeDee Lamb?
I'd rather have more targets most of the time.
So that goes to the quarterback, right?
Yeah, but I've seen it work plenty of times where look, Dan Marino won a lot of games in Miami with the Marx brothers.
Dan Marino's a great reader of secondaries, though.
Right. You're talking about a difference in terms of development.
Correct.
Okay. And what Jalen hasn't learned to do is consistently get to the 3rd and 4th reads. And yes, if he had guys that he trusted more for the 3rd and 4th reads, that would help. So I agree with that. And putting too much dependency on number 1 and number 2, on Smith and Brown, yes, hurts it a little bit. But look, Smith and Brown are really good. And Goddard's really good. Part of their problem last year is Goddard got hurt, right? And they didn't have a guy to step into that role.
But the number 3 receiver, Jason, the entire group had 34 catches.
If Goddard had been healthy all year, Goddard would have more than that, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But what they have to have is they got to have a running back who can step up when Goddard's not there. They have to have a guy who can step up to be that next number 3 guy, which is essentially you're talking about a really good 4, right? Yep. That does have to happen. So yeah, I agree with you on that perspective. But if you're telling me I'm going into a game and I got Hurts, Smith, and Brown, I'll take my chances.
Okay. They did go 1-7 down the stretch with that.
I get it, and that happens. But I would if I'm building my team and I got those guys, I'll take my chances. And I want to see that the quarterback makes progression so that the ball gets divvied out more. And yes, San Francisco has it a little bit differently, and Baltimore has it a little bit differently. But don't say no to good players. Have your good players. Just make sure you keep getting more of them. That's what you really got to do. Make sure you got running backs who can catch the ball. Make sure you got, tight ends who can catch the ball. Not just one of them, but you got to have 2 or 3 of those guys who can catch the ball. That's my view on it.
Finally here, tell me what Miami's going to – what's the holdup with Tua in Miami? I mean,
they don't want to pay him.
Are you going to go forward with him? Are you going to pay him? Are you not going to pay him? Do you want to pay him?
Look, to me, you have to pay him. But we talked about it before. I would take the option of I would overpay on a short-term deal.
3 years?
Yeah, I give it fully guaranteed, make it $55 million, do whatever, and say, here, it's a 3-year deal. You get back to the table in 3 years and get another big deal, but don't tie me up for 5 or 6 years and see if the kid will live with it. Now, the kid may say, I want 225, so give me the 5-year deal. And that's where you got to, that's where it becomes tough. But if I'm Tua, I'm not afraid to bet on myself as long as I've got something that gets me, $100 million in the bank. I would gamble. I think you can make it tempting. And I would do it. I'm not saying that they are doing this.
Yeah.
But I would do this if I was them because it's obvious that they don't want to get tied up long term with him because they haven't gotten tied. There's been enough time between all these other deals like Herbert and Burrow and and Lawrence and every other one of those deals. There's been enough time that they could have settled this thing already. It is obvious that the Dolphins are not ready to push the button on a serious long-term deal.
If I was going to take that deal that you propose, and again, we're spitballing here. If I was going to take that deal, I would add this dynamic into it. Put a no trade in there. And if you put a no trade in there, then what I would do is I would probably sign that because then I have control of my own destiny and you just can't get rid of me if you feel all of a sudden that injuries become a part of that. Because to me, the injuries are a part of why they're hedging their bet on this. But if you want to go short term and you want to guarantee it and you want to go 55 and not do a 5-year deal, well, then, Jace, I'm going to do what Jalen did. I'm going to take a no trade, put a no trade in that contract and go, you want to go short term? I've got to get something back for more protection, too, from you not being able to send me to the Saints.
Yeah, I get it. Or it's a definite no trade, but then I can always come back and say, okay, if this is not working out in year 3, I want to go here, right?
Yeah.
Work out a deal so I can go somewhere else. Sort of the same thing that happened with why am I forgetting the Raiders quarterback?
Carr.
Yeah, it's a Carr. Same thing you did with Derek Carr, right? We got to the end of the contract. They didn't want him anymore. Okay, work out a deal. I'll go to the Saints. I'll get a longer-term deal.
I remember what he had, too. He had a payday that was due in the offseason, like March 17th or 18th.
Yeah, right.
And the Raiders were going to have to pay him, like, fully guaranteed on that deal. And that's where he had the leverage there. And that's what I'm saying. If you want to play that route, okay, I have no problem with that. But probably, again, so you think it would be possibly the language that's holding us up because, hey, 3 years, 150 guaranteed, that would be the guess, too, would be probably the language now.
Yeah, if you were to do the short-term answer. But, look, it's obvious they don't want to do big, fully long-term guaranteed deal because they haven't. After Trevor Lawrence got done, how hard is it to sit there and say, okay, this is the market, for a talented but underachieving quarterback? Because if you're looking at talented and underachieving quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence is the next one down after Tua, right?
Absolutely. Jace, I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much for finding time for me. We're right around the corner. We're on the runway as we get ready for the NFL season. Thank you, brother.
All right, dude. We'll see you.
You got it. Our good friend Jason Cole, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. We're going to reset that. I want to throw some stuff off at you, too. We got a ton of stuff. Please hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your green house? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. We appreciate everybody on all our platforms. I see a bunch of people over on our Twitter page. We appreciate that very much. Thank you again. Please hit the like button for coming aboard with us here each and every single Monday through Friday, 2 to 6. I do want to throw this out at you here. Again, we're gonna reset here. On that topic, I saw a guy post something that said Jerry Rice was just fine. You're not comparing Jalen Hurts' ability to read a defense to Joe Montana's, are you? And the coaching he got from Bill Walsh to Nick Sirianni. What are you, crazy? That's like a court gesture trying to teach a quarterback with the inability to be able to read defense and say that, hey, they're the same guy because they played the same position and the guy was the head coach. Not everything is equal. Well, the quarterback and coordinator, you had Jerry Rice had Joe Montana. By the way, Joe Montana didn't need Jerry Rice to win Super Bowls. He didn't need him. He won one without him. And he took the Chiefs to the AFC Championship game at 39. You're not really comparing Joe Montana, a guy who is one of the greatest progression readers in the history of the sport, who's undefeated, and he's the Michael Jordan of quarterbacks. He's the Michael Jordan of quarterbacks. 13 touchdowns, no picks, 139 quarterback rating, and really never threatened except for the final Super Bowl he won. Oh, no, the fourth one against the Bengals. The other ones, he crushed them. He crushed Elway and Marino. Wasn't beating Nick Foles. Every quarterback he beat an MVP. Jalen Hurts and Joe Montana. Give me a break. I mean, dude, comparing Mahomes to Montana's progression reading is a joke. You cannot say they did not need them if those wide receivers caught passes in the game. Senor, Jerry Rice wasn't on the first Super Bowl in San Francisco. He wasn't on the team. So we obviously didn't need him. What in the world are you talking about? He threw to Freddie Solomon, Wendell Tyler, Henry Cooper. I mean, he wasn't on the team in that first Super Bowl in Detroit. So obviously, he didn't need him. Thank you, Farrell, Mississippi. Appreciate it coming in strong. Great, great, great casinos down there, by the way. Did he help on the second one? You mean the 52-point one? I don't know, probably. Did he help on the second one? So who needed who? Montana won 4 Super Bowls, dude. And he won one without Jerry Rice. Do I think he needed him? I think he helped him. Dude, that 49er team was on the back of Joe Montana, not any wide receiver or running back. Montana made everybody on that team great, and those teams were sensational, and they had a great organization, and their offensive coach was insane great. Insane great. Insane great. He's a Hall of Fame coach himself. Montana should win the Super Bowl that he won without Rice. Well, Montana should win the first Super Bowl that he could win without Rice. Okay, sure what? Montana was no Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw had 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers. He had 1. Name me another Hall of Famer in that offensive huddle that Montana had. Name me one. Let's see how many Bradshaw had. The center, both wideouts, the starting running back, and head coach. So he had 4 players and the head coach. Here's who Montana had. 2, head coach. Take the head coach away. He had 4, he had 1. Montana played with 1 Hall of Fame player that won Super Bowls. What are you talking about? One was almost like Brady in a way. Brady's only played in his 6 Super Bowls in New England with 1 Hall of Famer, Gronkowski, as a skill set player. 1. That's carrying your team. That's learning to read defenses. Just watch Montana's eyes. You can literally see him go through his progressions. DFW, do you know what Walsh told me when I had him in studio with me at KMBR when I was in San Francisco? He told me that Montana, as kind of goofy as he is, he used to call his old lady from the sidelines with like the little phone we used to have there. It was crazy. He used to dial 9, call his wife, hey, I'm down here in Dallas. This guy was really an eccentric type dude. But he said when he got back in the huddle, Montana was like a computer. He just knew where the wide open guy was at all times. And it was because Walsh taught him. First, they rolled him. This is what, hey, by the way, DFW, this is what I thought they should have did with Jalen. They rolled Montana right so he could only have to gauge half the field and learn to read half the field. And it helped him in his progression reading. Remember early in his career, he rolled a lot. And Walsh said once he got and his peripheral vision became better. Jalen Hurts has no peripheral vision in the pocket. He has none. He has 0. As Montana became, same with Brady, as that vision became more and more and more, he started dropping him back more. And that's when he became the elite guy he was. See, I think, like Tom Brady says, the developing of quarterbacks today is awful. I think they're doing a nice job in Green Bay. Matt LaFleur is doing a really nice job up there with him. I think Matt LaFleur is turning Jordan Love into a real good one. I think that Slokey guy down in Houston is doing a nice job with C.J. Stroud. You're seeing a couple places and a couple pockets. They're not developing Jalen Hurts. Dude, do you actually really believe that the Eagles are developing Jalen Hurts into a really good, prolific passer with constant changing at the coordinator? How are you even remotely thinking that's true? Hey, how would you like to have 5 bosses in 3 years? Would you develop as a sales rep if you had a new boss every 6 months? How in the world do you even honestly have that conversation that you think Jalen Hurts is progressing into being a fine pocket passer when he's got 4 different bosses already in 3 years? How's that possible? How's that possible that you would think that? I mean, Montana had Walsh the entire time. The entire time. They were developing him, schooling him, rolling him, teaching him. They're not teaching Hurts anything. And by the way, with today's NFL rules, with the OTAs and minicamps, and the lack of practice and the lack of what the Eagles do when it comes to playing people in the exhibition season, how in the world are you developing Hurts that he needs extra work to a point into being what you want him to look like and being a prolific passer? How is that possible? This is the fundamental issue I have with the Eagles. You had what you saw in 22. Why didn't you leave well enough alone? If you leave well enough alone, I'm not having these conversations with you on a daily basis. You're not helping him with, again, I understand what you're saying, Yale, but you're not helping him with having 2 primary targets. Andy Reid knew primary targets don't develop your quarterback. He did it with McNabb, and now he's doing it with Mahomes. And he's gotten to 10 conference title games with that philosophy. You think there's maybe something to that? One guy wins more than the other, but you got to give it to McNabb at least. He got to 5 conference titles. They were doing something right with no big-time wideout. There was only one guy in the entire time he had, McNabb, that was really a Hall of Fame style player. That was Owens. Got rid of that. D-Jack's a fine ball player, but he's not a Hall of Famer. He's just not. I mean, I'm talking, hey, like I said, I'm not even having this conversation with you. If you expanded, look, I think what they're doing in Baltimore is trying to expand his ability, what he did in 17. Is that when he won his first MVP? Led the NFL in touchdown passes. Lamar Jackson led the, and get this. You want to know how incredible that offense was? I didn't think they really needed it, but he got an MVP award with Todd Monken this last year. He had, in his first MVP year, he threw the ball for 3,100 yards and still led the NFL in touchdown passes. That's incredible. 3,100 in today's league is awful. I mean, it's utterly awful. He led the NFL in TD passes. What? Oh, and he also had 1,100 yards rushing. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. That was the point I'm making. You know what? I like when everyone goes, hey, Sills, hey, every place that has all these 2,000-yard receivers is going nowhere. Seattle going anywhere with DK and the other guy, Lockett, who had 1,000 yards, I think a year ago, 2 years ago. They both had 1,000. You think Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are going anywhere with Tua this year? Give me a break. Not going anywhere with that. Dude, when I'm a coordinator, I know this. They're throwing to those two dudes. Same thing in Philadelphia. When I have to game plan against like Green Bay, I don't know what they're going to do offensively. And now what they did, they brought in Josh Jacobs. Okay. I got to keep my linebackers honest now. I think having these quarterbacks consistently in shotgun tells you a lot about the talent of the quarterback these days. Hey, you know why they ended up DFW putting Brady more so in shotgun, same with Manning? Because they were not athletes. You're putting athletes in shotgun. Why? Why would you take the element away of the RPO or the read option? Run it out of the center spot. Don't put him in. Putting Jalen Hurts in a shotgun. So get this. You have two primary receivers and you put the quarterback in shotgun. Oh, okay. Thank you. Third down. Let's get nickel in. And he goes to two guys. Shit. This is easy. That's why those guys were sitting on the Manning cast calling plays. Well, it was Brian Johnson's fault. I don't think it's going to change much. Because the quarterback is the guy that can't be taught to read well, you can. I think you can. But again, you're coaching him wrong. It's been my contention. I may be proven wrong. I totally may be proven wrong. This year, he may go for 4,600 yards and 35 touchdowns. I may be completely wrong, but I don't believe it. I don't think he's that talented as a passer from the pocket. I think he is a weapon, if used correctly, like the guy in Baltimore. You just got to accept it. He's Lamar Jackson 2.0. They won't. They just won't accept it. I don't know why. Well, probably because they're afraid of the injury factor like it was with Wentz. Something to that. These RPO guys don't have long shelves though anyway. He's not built like Cam. And he's not built like Josh Allen. Those guys are 6'5", 250 pounds. Hey, so a guy who struggles with here, let's look. This was the topic we started the show off with, really. So let's do this here. Think about it for a minute. So a guy who struggles with blitzes and was hit the third most in the league last year. That's not play calling. That's quarterback decision making on where to go pre-snap. That has nothing to do with a play. That's him holding the ball too long in the pocket. That's his deal. That's not on the coordinator. The play may not be the right play, but when you're getting hit and blitzed, that has nothing to do with the play. When Todd Bowles blitzed him in the playoffs, he could have given a shit what Brian Johnson called. He knew the quarterback couldn't pick it up. He didn't care what the play was. Do you understand what blitzing means? They don't fear your guy in the pocket. You see his packing accuracy at the Pro Bowl. He almost got 0 points. He doesn't look. I'll tell you this. What makes his passing better, like in 22? Hey, you want to hear this? He had better statistics, yardage-wise and touchdown-wise last year. And yet the 22 season was better. You know why? Those passing routes were wide open. Man, Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, is without a doubt one of the most frightful guys when he gets out in the perimeter. When he's in open space on third down, I'll tell you what, you're a Jalen Hurts broke nobody's back last year defensively as a coordinator. They were not in fear of him. 22 they were. It was a completely different way they ran the ball. It's why I can't wait to watch Anthony Richardson this year. What offense formation is best for this Eagle team? What they're going to run in Indy this year? Sydney, that's what I would. Sydney, I swear to you, Sydney, if you hired Cliff Kingsbury, whether you like Cliff or not, you're looking at him as a head coach. That's fine. But he's an RPO coach. Okay? If you hire him and you expand on 22, I am completely every single day having a different conversation. Everything you're talking about is assumption. I'm telling you what the player came out of college and what we've seen for 3 years. When asked to sit in the pocket and read, blitzing and hits on the QB happen. Your O-line is not as good as you think in pass protection either. And nor is your backs in pass protection. I hope that improves with Barkley. It should. He's a pretty good pass pro back. He's one of the better graded guys in the league. Okay? Dedicate yourself in the film room and put into practice. Hey, Jack, that's a great point. I don't give a shit if I see Jalen Hurts in a gym working out, watching Randall Cunningham, bench pressing, squatting. You think Peyton Manning was doing all that shit? Peyton Manning looked like Ichabod Crane. This was all about 3 hours before a game, running routes with his wide receivers, looking at pre-snap reads, and he's constantly evolving his knowledge of the game. And I'm not – and by the way, do I think Jalen's stupid? Absolutely, I do not think that. Absolutely. However, I think he struggles reading, and I think he struggles in how can I put this kindly? Absorbing the intel. I mean, like I said about Montana, he was so weird. Montana's a weird dude. I mean, when you talk to him, he's in the middle of the game. Randy Cross, who comes on the program all the time, Randy Cross said, he says this, they're sitting there at the 10-yard line after they got a illegal procedure in the Super Bowl. They're down. They got a minute 10 to go. Oh, look, John Candy. There's John Candy over there. Look at that. Harris Barton and those guys are going. It's the biggest moment, one of the biggest moments in Super Bowl history. And there's Montana going, man, I love John Candy's movies. You know, The Great Outdoors? This is Randy telling me this. He goes, The Great Outdoor with the bear. And Randy's like this, Joe, are you okay? No, I like The Great Outdoors. All right. Drives him down the field, wins the Super Bowl. That's crazy shit. That's legendary Nick Foles kind of shit. Hey, look, they're just a guy who was in Great Outdoor. I love the bear scene when he comes in. It was one of the best scenes. And Randy Cross is like, this is Randy's last game. And he goes to Joe, we got 90 yards in a minute 13. What are we doing? Right? Right? What's dumbass saying here? Offensive league, no. He's lobbying for us to lose our weapons. No. Why? They do everywhere else and they win. No, I'm just saying you're not developing your quarterback by having all these tools around him. He's not that talented. You're not helping him. But you had all that talent last year. You didn't upgrade this year. Seals, I don't believe in running quarterback because their instincts is to prematurely run out of the pocket to take off and lose that extra second to find the open. Well, what you're saying is that the routes don't develop because they're easily taken off. That's for sure. Absolutely. But once again, why do you think they got rid of Stephon Diggs in Buffalo? They got rid of Stephon Diggs because the quarterback needs to be more patient in the pocket and read the secondaries and defenses better. That's what they were trying to do to Deshaun Watson in Houston when they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins. Every good coordinator knows. That's why Brady never had a prolific wide receiver in his entire career that won a Super Bowl till he got to Tampa late in his career. Ever. And like I said about Joe didn't need Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice benefited from playing with Joe Montana. Montana won without him. Wasn't even on the team. All the great quarterbacks. By the way, once again, too, do you think really? Look at Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning had by far more tools around him than Tom Brady ever had in his entire career. Who was a better quarterback? Tom Brady. You have Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, Dallas Clark, same O-line, same old coordinator, and you became what? You became primary target with two dudes. And it was easy for New England to figure that out. They were going to two guys, primary targets, whereas in New England, you didn't know where he was going. And you developed more pre-snap read stuff with Brady. Brady was a pre-snap read genius. Why? Because they had no wide receiver. I can't even think of one they drafted in the first round besides N'Keal Henry late in their years. Martise goes like this. I'm not talking about last year. I'm talking about right now, dude. Right now, you don't have enough time. You think that guy's going to turn around and all of a sudden, in a matter of 18 practices, install an offense and be some sort of progression reader in today's NFL with the complex defenses? You're out of your fucking mind. You are out of your mind. Those defenses are so prolific, man. Okay? And get this. Once again, Dickbag LJ doesn't get it. I'm talking about developing a quarterback's ability to be able to read a defense. Those guys were sitting there goofing on that last year 23 team. They'll be doing it again this year in the Manning cast with primary targets like that because your quarterback is not very good at reading. Do you absolutely think that Green Bay's not going to start blitzing immediately with a new center, a new coordinator, new terminology? Good luck. Why not go back to 22? Make it easy on the kid. Make it easy on him. But you're going to drop him back with a new center, new coordinator, new terminology. Same problems. and a new right guard. And a new right guard. Giants are so smart, they drafted a wide receiver in Neighbors. Absolutely. Senor, why not go get one of those top flight offensive linemen that he bitched about with Gettleman not being able to build an O-line? What does he do? Joe Schoen builds his football team from the perimeter when you have a problem in your interior. That's why the Eagles will always be superior to the New York Giants. The Eagles will never be flat-footed like that. What does Malik Neighbors bring to a quarterback he wanted to move off of in the draft? We saw it in Hard Knocks. What does Neighbors bring to a team that has no ability to protect their quarterback that they hate? How in the world do you sell that? And then you tell your star running back later. I mean, I may be critical of the Eagles. That's a train wreck. It'd be fun to be in New York right now. It would totally be. But I'd be booted off FAN, or they'd be getting the same calls because Joe Schoen is the worst. I actually heard John McMullen defending him. And I was like, I saw the other clip of it today. Or no, yesterday, excuse me. And I saw it and I was like, so wait a minute. They publicly put out there that they were trying to make a deal with the Patriots for the third pick to draft a quarterback. And they think that's beneficial to the relationship between the quarterback and the organization that you just gave $150 million to? How? How do you think that's beneficial? John McMullen was defending him. And I'm going like, wait, because they have these real conversations. Real conversations. So you have buyer's remorse on the current guy you have. And now that that's been aired, you know what Joe Schoen's doing today? You want to know what a real life conversation is today? You want to know what a real life one is today? Hey, man, that was just business talk. And, now he's got to lie to him. I like John McMullen. I think he does a great job for us. Absolutely great. Hey, he says shit that I say, go, it's all good. That's the difference here. We talk about things here on JAKIB, like unlike IP, where you're zip-locked in your lips on saying anything that goes on in-house. It's not really a show. It's more of a potpourri or a fireside chat. Sills, do you think Juergens gets better? I do. Hey, Kyle, I like Juergens, but it's still not going to be able to do the things Kelsey did. Dude, Kelsey's 12 years at center. There's no way of getting around the experience factor of that. Okay? All you do is hate from the outside. I don't hate anybody. Bro, I love this guy, LJ. This guy will post 700 posts and 47,000 posts this year. He's one of the greatest stalkers in my life. I had a chick like this once in Miami. She used to sit out my doorway when I was super young. Sorry, Aunt Betty. And she used to just knock on my door like, Dan, you in there? No. That's LJ's like that stalker chick. What was her name? Sorry, Sue. It may have been. No, I don't think it was Sue. Who's that chick that used to knock on my door? Oh, she used to knock 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, man. I'd be like, oh, God. I had a girlfriend, too. But, when you're young, you have girlfriends. Who's that? Okay? You're thin as Skinner. Bro, once again, hey, I just noticed you. So now you can go in your corner and you can go pleasure yourself. It's all good. So it wasn't you? Oh, hey, it wasn't you today, Sue? Oh, and look at C24. Here, you always count on my two famous stalkers, man. These guys are like chicks. Hey, man, over here. Please, over here. Light work, I got noticed. I got under her skin today. Do I look it? You'd have to be really, hey, wouldn't you think, Joe Krause? You'd have to be a really good knife expert to get under Big Sil's skin. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, well, I can't think of what was that chick's name. She became a lawyer, big-time lawyer, too. Yeah. I think her kid even went to my high school. She's from Florida. I can't remember her name. Elaine? She used to knock on my door like LJ knocks on my show door. Dan! Over here! Over here! Oh, man. She was pretty nice, though. I won't lie, man. But, Big Sil's back in the day. I don't know, Hey, I didn't like that. My aunt watches the show. Okay. Back in the day, man, I didn't like sequels. All I'm an old man now. I've been married 32 years, 34 years. Give me a break here. Okay. Oh, C24. As soon as you read my content. Bro, you are my content. If you're in my show box, you are my content. You don't have to be here. All right. You are my content. Yes. That's why you come here. So you can be part of it, like everyone else. Yes. Dan paints fences and Daisy Dukes for extra credit. You listen very well, Steve. Steve, you listen very well. Yes, I did do that. I had to get by statistics, Steve, or I was never going to play in the Fiesta Bowl. Guy made me show up in shorts and a T-shirt, and I told him, I'm not doing anything crazy, man. This is where it ends. Paint the fence. I had to paint a mile fence where horses were in so I could get my statistics grade and pass. It's a true story. I couldn't graduate unless I painted the fence. I took that thing for 4 years. Joe Krause, you'd have been proud of me. 4 years I took it. I actually showed up to this son of a bee. Most classes I only had the blue book to, but I showed up to this thing and I still failed it. He says, you can't get out of here without it. Jimmy Johnson comes to me and goes, what are you going to do? The teacher wants to see you. So I go see this guy. And Cosmo Saval. I go see him. Hey, he goes, you know you failed. I got the Fiesta Bowl, dude. I got to play in this. It's a national title game. 100 million people are going to watch it. You got to let me play. Got to give me a grade. He goes, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Show up to my house, wear shorts, and a t-shirt. Make it one of those Italian things. And I went. So I went home. I was really nervous. I didn't sleep well that night. I called my grandfather, and he goes, well, you got to do what you got to do. And I went, I'm not doing anything stupid here. I'll tell you that. Hey, Steve, I promise you. I said, I'm not doing anything stupid. So I show up, and there he is. Mr. Savalli goes like this. Well, I go, well, let me tell you this here before we have any more of a conversation. He goes, shut up. Paint the fence. I go, what? I wish he would have had me do something because I had to paint. So guess what I did? I painted the outside. This fence was like a mile around. I painted this fence white, and I go, there it is. He goes, what about the inside? I got paint all over me. So I paint the inside of the fence. This thing took me 3 days. I show up to practice. I got paint all over me. Jimmy comes up to me. I'm in the huddle. I got paint everywhere. He was like this. So the doctor got a hold of you, huh? And I'm like this. And Stubbs is laughing. Jerome's laughing. And I'm sitting here doing this. He goes, doctor got a hold of you. And Stubbs goes, hey, man, what'd you do to get the grade? I got to see the guy next. I go, you won't know. You don't want to. You don't want to know. Jerome starts howling. The coaches start. I go, he goes, hey, I'm not doing anything. I go, well, we both may have to kill him. Oh, man. We may have to kill him. Sills and Laguna I got with the yellow Hummer. He doesn't mess around. I love my yellow Hummer. You can see it from the space shuttle. I don't think they have that any longer, but hey. Right. Sills, ever worn rugby shorts? No, I wore coach's shorts, though. They're just as bad and awful. I call them nut huggers. Very awful. Back in the day, you wore nut huggers. Wasn't very cool. Was it worth playing in the national title? Hell yeah. But, I thought the guy was going to ask me to do something stupid. So I don't know. It's the fabulous life that you guys think that I've led. Show up tomorrow. I was like, hey, one more real quick. So I got caught cheating on a test at Miami because I hadn't gone to class. And Jimmy Johnson calls me over out of practice. And he goes like this, hey, man, business department says that you got caught cheating. I go, yeah, I had a couple names on my forearm. And he goes, well, I got to go see the teacher. So be prepared. I go, be prepared for what? He's like, be prepared. That's all I could tell you. So he comes back. He goes, you had it on both forearms. And I was like, yeah, well, I didn't study, man. I didn't know. And he goes, you were in the front row. And I go, yeah, before Florida State. You know, when Jimmy comes on here and says I was a handful, and he says I was difficult. This is what he was talking. He dealt with this all the time, but it was like 100 of us. Jerome with his guns. I had some answers on my forearms. I got them down like this. The guy picks my arm up. He goes, I'll see you later. So Jimmy comes back out of the meeting. And hey, Joey B. Hey, Joey. Jimmy comes to me. He goes, why don't you meet me here tomorrow? For what? Why don't you meet me here about 6:30? Night? Oh, no. Morning. We're at the Orange Bowl. And I go, boy, that thing's a 90,000 seat stadium. Why don't we run for about 30 minutes? He goes, let's have lunch. Oh, no, you're not leaving. Lunch, running again for another 35 minutes. So let's just say why I love the Orange Bowl so much. Oh, man. No. Only Big Sills. Right? Sills, you play against Ron Simmons. Now, he was a little bit before my time there. He played at Florida State. He was actually the very first guy to get his number retired. He was a hell of a ball player. Great wrestler, too, by the way. Sills, I call it using your resources. I did my very best, man. Sills called cheating and still got to play that Saturday. What do you think Jimmy's going to be? Whoa, Joey B. Do you think Jimmy was not going to play me because I got caught cheating? That's not who Jimmy Johnson is. He's not penalizing the rest of the team or himself by putting good players. Well, we got to do the right thing today, and we have to make sure we make an example out of people. That ain't him. Now, if I was some scrub, he would have said, get off the team, you're out of here. But Jimmy doesn't do that. You know what he'll do? He'll pick up a sheet, Jimmy Johnson, and do this. Jerome, Sileo, Irvin, Stubbs, Cortez. You on the bus? Yes, coach, we're on the bus. Let's go, bus driver. We got enough to win. Hey, Joey, we got enough to win. Let's go. We got enough to win. We're ready. That's how he handled it. Did you know Brad at Maryland? I don't know. I was there from 83, kind of 82-ish to 83. 83. I was there with Len Bias. Len was my workout partner at Maryland. I would have never have left Maryland. I really liked it there. Oh, man. Dude, tarpon fishing in Tampa is fantastic. Always. Sills, what was Hawkins doing? Bill was a good player. He was young, though. It was me, Stubbs, and Jerome. That kind of were that D line. I mean, if you think about it, let's do this. Stubbs had 17 sacks. I had 8. That's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 25. Jerome had 7. That's 32. And Bill had, I think, 10. So between our front four, we had 42 sacks. Just the 4 of us. Didn't need to do a lot of blitzing. Didn't need to do a lot of blitzing. Sills, you speaking at the RNC in Wisconsin next week with Dana White? Oh, my God. Hey, Joey, I won't lie to you. It's one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen in my entire life, this presidential election. It's absolutely one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen. I've never seen more people lying on both sides of the aisle about everybody. This guy here's this guy. And you're like, Jesus, I've never seen anything like it. It's wonderful to watch. Actual adults with high educations melting down like children. You want to watch people who are fighting for their place in society when their power is being threatened? Watch our government officials. When your authority is being threatened to be taken away from you, watch how people act. Yeah, am I right? Watch how people act when your authority over people becomes threatening and threaten to take it from you. You'll go to no extent and say anything. Both sides. And watching people melt down, this is one of the greatest classroom cases of watching how our government officials can't handle the job that they've been hired to represent Americans. It's the greatest example of it. Those people in Washington don't represent me. They do not. The news people don't represent me. So you watch it and you go, man, that's how people act that went to Harvard? That's how people act who pretend they're smarter than me? Weird. Not that simple. Trump will destroy the country. I mean, I'm not going to go there because that's not what this show is. I just like watching humor. Yeah, because I'm not going, that's not my place here. You believe who you want to believe. Take your shot, take your not shot. That's not my deal. Sills and strawberries. We want one last. That park across the place was really good. Okay. Dude, both candidates are. Hey, Jack, I told you this, Jack. When you've got both candidates over the age of 160, you got a problem. You have a problem. All right. I wrote down the 10 best quarterbacks that I love watching in the NFL. Who are your 10 best quarterbacks that you enjoy watching play? By the way, these aren't the best. And I have reasons why I like watching these particular players. Yeah, current. STR Edge, current. Quarterbacks that play in the NFL right now. I want you to think about it. I'm going to take a time out here, and I'm going to tell you mine. My 10 guys that I enjoy watching. Maybe this will help you out a little bit. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood day.
Plan your stay in the Wildwoods today.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Win and save this baseball season from Colony Pools and Power Washing, a local company serving Delaware, Delco, and Chester County since 1970. Are you tired of looking at your greenhouse? Is your roof, siding, deck stained green from algae and mold? Let the experts pressure wash your home and take the pressure off of you. Win with Colony Pools and Power Washing. Call them now at 302-762-2250. That's 302-762-2250.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Thank you guys so much for watching us on all our platforms. Last couple days, man, we've been getting a ton of folks over on our Twitter page watching us, so we appreciate that. Thank you. Please hit the like button. Make sure you join us over on our YouTube channel. We thank you for coming aboard, as you always do. Also, our Facebook channel. Leave a comment if you want. Thank you so much again. I mean, like the last 2 days over on the Twitter page, it's been really good. So we really appreciate that as well. I asked you to come up with quarterbacks that you enjoy watching play. Now, again, this is not a list of the best guys in the sport. And I'll tell you why I enjoy watching these guys. Okay? Number 10, Justin Herbert. I think the guy's one of the best arms I've seen since Dan Marino. He's like Phillip Rivers, Dan Marino. This guy wings it around the yard. Will he make mistakes in games? Yes. But since he's come out of Oregon, he's been one of the most prolific passers that our league's ever seen. I enjoy watching him play. I like his demeanor, his attitude. Number 9, I got to hand it to Jordan Love. I didn't think he was shit at Utah State. And I thought he was a colossal nothing when he was playing behind Aaron Rodgers up at Green Bay. Matt LaFleur's done a hell of a job with him. They got rid of Devontae Adams. They spread the ball around with him. I really enjoy watching Jordan Love play some ball. I enjoy it. Number 8 has to be the biggest surprise for me. Maybe in the last 35 years of sports talk, has to be C.J. Stroud. You know, in the 156 years of Ohio State football, they've never had one guy that was an all-pro quarterback ever out of that program. Ever. I can't name you a quarterback that's been good out of Ohio State in 155 years. Thank you, Maniac. I just can't. He's fun to watch. I really enjoy him. Number 7, when healthy, and I got him low on this list because, dude, I like watching you play, Joe. I like your outfits. I like your demeanor. I like what you're doing to Cincinnati. You're the best quarterback they've had there since Boomer and Esiason. I mean, he's good. He's good to watch. Got to be healthy, though, kid. Seals, can you believe that the Giants took Jones over Allen? No, I didn't realize that. Thank you, Cosmo. Damn. Number 6. I like Matthew Stafford, man. I enjoy watching him play. I like Matthew Stafford, dude. I think he's a good football player. Number 5. This is going to be a weird one. Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what to expect out of the guy. This guy may start reciting the Beatitudes. He may talk to you about COVID. He may talk to you about smoking weed in a teepee. He may be in a cave in Pakistan. He may have mushrooms after a game, but I'll tell you, he can play. He can freaking play. He's a good football player. Kind of weird for me, but I like the weirdness. Okay? Can he play? Absolutely he can play. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer guy. Come on, Yale. You know that. Number 4, Dak. I know you're like, Dak? Why Dak? Because I never know what I'm going to get when I open that box of chocolates. I could get 358, 4 touchdowns, no picks. And I could turn around the next day and get 358, 4 picks, and 4 touchdowns. This guy is a modern-day Brett Favre. I just don't know. With less winning, I just don't know what I'm going to get when I get him. Number 3, I love Josh Allen. I just enjoy watching somebody that big and that prolific and how good he is. Number 2, I didn't realize what a great year Lamar Jackson had with nobody on his football team. Right, DFW? You just never know when you're going to get with that guy. I love watching Lamar. Number 1, dude, Mahomes is a generational football player. It's just impressive watching him play. All right. Great stuff as always. We so appreciate it. Guys, you are great on all our platforms today. Please hit the like button. We so appreciate it. Joe Big Xander, thank you very much. Or Big Joe Xander, thank you very much. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we'll see you on the flip side.